as will be. Someday you'll return to your valleys and your farms, and you'll no longer burn to be brothers in arms. Through the fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle raged higher. And though they did hurt me so bad, in the fear and the alarms, you did not deserve me, my brothers in arms. So many different worlds, so many different suns, and we have just one world, but we live in different ones. Now the sun's gone to hell, and the moon's riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die, but it's written in the stars. To make war on our brothers and
Good morning. Hello. Look at my new camera. I'm a towel. This is Grant Smith Ellis on Towel News. We had a busy night. We had a busy day. I don't know if I really like this new camera angle. It's okay. God bless you all. The action has started this morning. It's just about 6:30 a.m. as the sun rises here in Boston on what's going to be a sweltering day, both in terms of the pace of the court docket in state and federal court in the Karen Reed and Aiden Turtleboy Carney cases versus the Ham defendants. But also, the strikes have started in southern Iran already this morning. It is just, as I mentioned, coming up on 6:30 a.m. here in Boston, Massachusetts at the War Desk on Towel News. It is Tuesday, July 14, 2026. It's coming up on 12:30 p.m. in South Africa, 1:30 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 2 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Good morning to you all as well. It's great to see you. How are you doing, Interpret Towel? How are you, Fear 3 Norm? It's so good to see you both. We are up very early. We have a few things to do. We have to get caught up on everything that happened yesterday. I was down in court. I was filming Mr. Alan Jackson. He called me GSE. It was great. I was trying to think about why Mr. Alan Jackson, who's Karen Reed's lawyer, called me GSE. And then I was like, oh yeah, when I upload my court documents that I post from the docket, I label the PDFs GSE. So he clearly reads the PDFs. All right. We have a lot to cover. There was a lot that happened yesterday. I couldn't do a stream at night. I was very tired. You know, I was an out and about Tao. But God bless you all. Thank you for your support. I'm going to be covering multiple court hearings today. So we have to do our war update in the morning before 10 a.m. Then I got to cover the Karen Reed Turtle Boy motion hearing down in Plymouth Superior Court. I'm going to cover it remotely. Then I got to go downtown and go to the federal courthouse where there's no cameras allowed, where it's going to be chaos. I'm sure it's going to be absolute chaos. And I'm going to film whatever the hell happens outside federal court. It's going to be interesting. That's until 2 or 3 p.m. I don't know. I'm going to go early either way. So, good morning. Let's talk about the last 2 days in the war. I'm sure a lot of you are concerned. Where we have to start is where we left off. So the last time we were together, there was a litany, 2.5 hours of American strikes on Iran. Now, all this has to do with the Strait of Hormuz, okay? America wants the Strait of Hormuz open. Iran bombs ships in the Strait of Hormuz. It started 2 or 3 days ago, escalating because Iran bombed a ship off the coast of Oman and killed an Indian sailor on a merchant ship, a commercial vessel, in turn leading the Americans on the right after Senator Lindsey Graham died to bomb for 2.5 hours. Now, we're going to pick up with what happened the next morning, which was yesterday morning. Saudi Arabia and Yemen, as if you watch the stream, you know a lot about Yemen. The Houthis and Saudi Arabia don't like each other. Iran and Saudi Arabia don't like each other. Iran has been trying to break the siege on Yemen's airport in Sana'a by flying passenger planes. Hello, Shannon. Hello, Bad Milliam. Hello, Gary. You can see I had a long day yesterday. Hello to all the Towel friends in South Africa. Hello to Cape Town. You're wonderful. And hello to all the other wonderful Towel friends in South Africa. You're all wonderful. So we're going to start with what happened as the airplane was flying into Sana'a yesterday, okay? But we're going to pick up with, we can't really pick up with that until we pick up with the retaliatory strikes that occurred after America hit Iran, okay? And then Iran immediately hit back in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. Okay, we saw that imagery as we were ending our last U.S.-Iran war stream. Good morning, Miss Clutch. Good morning, Fram. It's so good to see you. Okay, so here's what happened then. Then Iran put out 3 statements saying they hit Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. Okay, then the next morning, okay, there were more strikes on southern Iran. And then, this was yesterday morning, maybe yesterday late in the evening U.S. time, but yesterday morning in the Middle East. Then there was another wave of strikes, okay, by the U.S. on southern Iran. This was yesterday morning. And then by Iran on Bahrain and Kuwait and Jordan. Okay, I'll show you some footage of, this was the second round. Okay, we were already in bed. These are interceptors in, I think, Bahrain. It gets a little tough tracking the exact time because Eastern time in the U.S. is morning time in the Middle East. So it was yesterday morning, okay, Monday morning in the Middle East. Another round of attacks goes out towards Kuwait, goes out towards Bahrain, and goes out towards Jordan. Okay. Now, let's pick up yesterday morning, okay, at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Iran puts out this video, and we got to track each one or we won't know what's a new video, what's an old video. Iran puts out this video claiming the strikes yesterday morning in the Middle East, which would be Sunday night in the U.S., on 3 U.S. bases, okay? You're going to see the video. Reminder, these are very loud, okay? These are launch videos from the IRGC. We watch them so that we know what is repeated. If someone posts a video claiming it's new but it's old, and we've seen them all, then we know what's old. This is a calling card of the IRGC. They like to claim their attacks, okay? The way they like to claim their attacks is they like to put out a statement right after the attack, and then the next day they put out a video showing the missiles launching. We'll watch that now. My name is Grant Svitelis. Good morning on Towel News. Game over USA is what that missile says. That's quite a missile. They have a lot of missiles left. They're trying to make a point. They have a lot of missiles. A lot of them. We haven't seen their big missiles yet. Here's a report from the Strait of Hormuz yesterday morning. It is closed, and Iran is not letting ships through. That's the cause of all this fighting. I don't have the translation. Interpretal speaks a little bit of Farsi, so let's see if we can figure out what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday morning as all this was ramping up.
تنگه هرمز همچنان بر روی شناورها بسته است و دلیل بسته بودن تنگه هرمز هم نقض تفاهمنامه اسلام آباد از سوی ارتش متجاوز آمریکاست.
He's saying that After the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding was violated by the U.S., Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz.
در واقع به ویژه بند پنجم این تفاهمنامه که به روشنی مدیریت و کنترل عبور و مرور کشتی‌ها در تنگه هرمز رو بر عهده ایران اعلام کرده. پیش از این
He's saying basically Iran is demonstrating that it is in control of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm being very general.
تنگه هرمز باز بود، اما با تشویق برخی از کشتی‌ها برای عبور از مسیرهای غیر مجاز از سوی آمریکا این تنگه بسته شد و ایران برای اعمال حاکمیت خودش بر روی این تنگه و با توجه به تفاهمنامه اسلام آباد این تنگه و این آبراه حیاتی رو بر روی شناورها بست. نیروی دریایی سپاه اعلام کرده که اگر کشتی‌ها می‌خواهند که امنیتشون حفظ بشه باید همچنان متوقف بشن و منتظر اجازه ایران برای عبور از این آبراه حیاتی باشن. بامداد امروز دو کشتی که قصد عبور غیر مجاز از تنگه هرمز رو داشتن با شلیک اخطار نیروی دریایی سپاه مورد هدف قرار گرفته و متوقف شدن. همطور که در پشت سر من هم می‌بینید کشتی‌ها همچنان در لنگرگاه‌های مختلف خلیج فارس و دریای عمان و در دو سوی تنگه هرمز متوقف شدن، لنگر انداختن و منتظر اجازه ایران برای عبور از این تنگه هرمز هستند. حتما پیش از ارتباط من در گزارشی که همکار خوبم جناب آقای اژدهایی و همکار دیگرم پخش کردن دیدید و شنیدید که همچنان این اعمال حاکمیت ایران بر تنگه هرمز ادامه داره و همطور دیدید و شنیدید از حملاتی که ارتش متجاوز آمریکا بامداد امروز در نوار ساحلی کشورمون در استان
Now he's saying America bombed the naval sites of the Iranian IRGC Navy in the southern ports of Iran.
هرمزگان و استانهای دیگر کشورمون داشت. در پایان هم باید به این نکته اشاره بکنم که بامداد امروز یک پهپاد لوکاس ارتش متجاوز آمریکا
And then he says, as you can see, there are ships in the Strait of Hormuz, but they're not moving.
در محدوده شهر بندر عباس و توسط پدافند هوایی ارتش جمهوری اسلامی ایران منهدم و سرنگون شد.
And that's as much as I can get. I don't speak Farsi, but I know I'm learning more and more. I translate so much Farsi that I now know words in Farsi because I hear the same words all the time. This is getting interesting. I'm starting to be able to understand Farsi. I can't understand Farsi as well as people who speak Arabic, and I certainly can't understand Farsi as well as the people who speak Farsi. But I do have some, I'm like 5% there. It's very interesting. It helps me actually to be able to understand what's going on because I translate so much Farsi and Arabic. So yeah, I did not intend to learn Farsi and Arabic. I'm just learning it. Okay, so I'm going to take you to yesterday morning's strikes in Iran, and then we'll go to what happened in Sana'a in Yemen. So yesterday morning, America time, Eastern time, yesterday afternoon in Iran, the following points were hit. Abadan County in Khuzestan Governorate, okay, 2 people were killed, 3 others were injured. Okay, now, at the same time, Iran is trying to break the siege of the airport in Sana'a. Now, to understand this, you got to understand the wider geopolitical context of the Iranian axis of resistance and the war between Saudi Arabia and Yemen that's been going on since 2014. But with a ceasefire, although it's more like a blockade and a siege than a ceasefire, a blockade by Saudi Arabia on parts of Yemen, but not all of Yemen, because Yemen is divided and there's a southern southern government that's Saudi Arabian backed and a northern government called the Houthis that's Iranian backed, and then there's also like 80 different tribes in Yemen, and then in the east of Yemen near Oman there's Al-Qaeda. I know they came like out of Saudi Arabia. It got a little ugly. Anyway, so it's complicated. Before we get into that, let's talk about the wider 30,000 foot elevation perspective. Before you can fully understand what happened at the airport in Sana'a yesterday in Yemen, you have to understand what the Iranian axis is. Think of Iran like a baseball team, okay? Iran's the major league club. Then they have affiliates. They have a AAA affiliate in Lebanon. That's called the Mujahideen for the Islamic Resistance, or as you know them, Hezbollah, the Party of God. Now, that is its own story, going back to like 1982, but really like 1948. But we're not going to get into that, okay? Because really what Hezbollah is the reemergence of the Palestinian Liberation Organization that got expelled from Transjordan in like 1967 after the Yom Kippur War, or whatever war was in 67 between Israel and Jordan and Egypt. And then as a result, the PLO fled to southern Lebanon, which became Hezbollah in 1982 after Israel invaded in 79. Okay? But that's not what we're talking about right now, because then there's a AA affiliate. They're called the Houthis. They're in Yemen. They are not the Islamic resistance for the Mujahideen for the Islamic resistance in Yemen. They are something completely different. To understand this, you must go back to the 1990s into the early 2000s. Yemen had a parliament. And for your purposes, there was a man in the Yemenese parliament named Mr. Houthi. Now, let me just take you on the map to what's going on here. I think you need to see the map. Can I have the map on the big board, please? Can we put the map on the big board? Thank you. I'm talking to myself. This is a one-man operation. So now we got the map on the big board. Okay, we normally are keeping an eye on this area, right, with the map. All right, that's Israel. Now we're gonna go over here. This is Saudi Arabia. It's so big. Well, there you go. It's so big it's hard to even fit on this map. That is Saudi Arabia. This is Yemen. Okay, we were just talking about Lebanon up here, okay, and we were talking about the PLO being expelled from Transjordan and then pushed up to southern Lebanon, which became the Mujahideen for the Islamic Resistance in Lebanon, or as you know them, Hezbollah. Okay, now, they are the AAA Iranian proxy. Now, down here, you see this little ocean? You see how this is the south part of Israel? I think this is Eilat, yeah. Okay, so, take a look. You go down this Red Sea here. This is Africa, Sudan, etc. This is Saudi Arabia, okay? This is Yemen. Now, this is called the Bab al-Mandab Strait. You know a lot about the Strait of Hormuz over here. But there's another strait that's very, very important, because guess what's at the top of the Red Sea? The Suez Canal. Which means if you control the Bab al-Mandab Strait, you actually control the Suez Canal, okay? Now, if you know anything about the British in 58 losing to Egypt and Nasser taking control of and nationalizing the Suez Canal, then you know the Suez Canal is very important. The British Empire basically died over the Suez Canal. And also, you know, they learned a lesson in the fact that, you know, modern navies don't really do as much as other vehicles of war. And they really can't thwart, like, a color revolution. Anyway, unless they start it themselves, but that's another story. I don't have time to talk about the Arab Spring right now. Anyway, going back to the 1990s in Yemen, there was a man in the Yemenese parliament named Mr. Houthi. Now, Mr. Houthi got expelled from the Yemenese parliament. And I'm going to very, like, truncate this story. He goes up here. Okay, he goes up to the north of Yemen, and he goes into a cave in the Al Fair Valley, okay, right up in here. And he is trying to start a resistance movement, okay, against the Yemenese government because he feels that they're too sympathetic to Western interests. Now, Mr. Houthi is then killed in fighting with the Yemenese government, okay, which is much more powerful at that time than his movement. It wasn't actually called like the Houthis back then. It was like Ansar al something. I'm sorry, I don't remember the formal title. It became the Houthi movement in his honor, but he's dead, okay? This is like the 1990s, early 2000s. The Houthis initially only control this area of Yemen, right here. Eventually, they take over this whole area. All the north of Yemen, all the way to the coast, and this is very important, okay? Their control of this area is very important. I'll explain it in a second. Then they end up controlling, like, almost all the way down to the southern tip of Yemen. They cut the country, not in half, but like they quarter the country and take over the north, what's called North Yemen. Now, what's important about this? That is the capital, okay, of the Houthis' territory. It's actually the capital of Yemen. It's called Sana'a. We're going to talk about Sana'a in a second. You must also understand there's another city called Aden, okay? That is where, down here is where there is a government of Yemen, ostensibly. The Houthis, and this gets very confusing, call themselves the government of Yemen. Good morning, Justin Tube Socks. Good morning, Trixler. You're 100% right. Good morning, AED. How are you doing? I do like this angle. Thank you so much. You're also wonderful. So let me explain. The Houthis, okay, call themselves the government of Yemen. The people in Aden, for our purposes, call themselves the government of Yemen. The Houthis are the Iranian AA affiliate, and they have been an Iranian ally for 20-something years, okay? The government in the south of Yemen is backed by Saudi Arabia, okay? The government of South Yemen actually is 2 or 3 factions. We're going to call them the Yemenis National Council, or whatever it's called. It's had a bunch of different names. We're just going to call it the Yemenis National Council. That government is very weak because it's very factionalized. All the factions of the south part of Yemen, the government there, are backed by Saudi Arabia, but they don't all agree with each other. Okay, so that's the situation here. That's the Iranian proxy in the north. Then you got the Saudi Arabian-backed government in the south that's very weak because it's factionalized. Those two have been fighting for a very long time, since 2014. During the initial conflict, the Houthis, backed by Iran, who funnels weapons to them through this shipping route. This is Iran. They send weapons along the coast here. They don't go here because that's controlled by the Saudis. They go through the Bab al-Mandab Strait. They go into Al-Hadaya, and then the Houthis run the missiles up into the north. And then in 2014, the Houthis started attacking Saudi Arabia. Now, you might say, isn't Saudi Arabia like a Muslim kingdom? Yes. But Saudi Arabia, even under MBZ, the old ruler back then, allowed U.S. troops on their soil. And it's considered profane, like blasphemy, to allow U.S. troops, any foreign troops, on this land. This is considered holy land. This whole Saudi Arabian land is holy land in Islam. And one of the pillars of Islam, one of the main beliefs, is that you cannot have foreign troops on holy soil. Saudi Arabia allowed that as far back as Gulf War I. It was very controversial. Remember the mother of all press conferences? That was actually about how the Saudis let us do a ground invasion into Iraq. That's where, like, our planes flew to Baghdad from Saudi Arabia, and then we invaded from the land border here into Iraq. All right. But we'll get to Iraq in a second. The Saudi Arabians and the Iranians don't like each other. The Iranians are Shia. The Saudi Arabians are a unique form of Islam, okay? They're kind of like the guardians of Islam. That's the best way to explain it, because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was alive in the 700s and 800s, or 800s, whatever it was. It might have been both centuries, in Saudi Arabia. So they are custodians of the Holy Land. The government of Saudi Arabia is very complicated. The best way to understand it is, even when they were more Western friendly, they still were not Western friendly. In fact, it's very likely that the old Saudi Arabian government, under a guy named MBZ, who is not the ruler of UAE, that's a different MBZ. This was MBZ, who was the former Crown Prince designate of Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia has a king, okay? Saudi Arabia's king picks a Crown Prince designate who is the heir apparent and is actually the ruler of the kingdom. Right now, that Crown Prince is MBS. To understand Saudi Arabia, you must first understand the civil war that occurred between 2017 and 2019 when MBS overthrew MBZ. Why? Because MBZ, while ostensibly leading pro-Western sort of allegiances, was actually working with the Wahhabist faction of Islam, which you know as the Bin Laden family, up in Kandahar, Pakistan, and was responsible for 9/11. And also was responsible for working with the Adnan Khashoggi and Jeffrey Epstein crew and U.S. intelligence and a bunch of defense contractors to blame Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't know how Iraq even got involved in being blamed for that, 9/11, so that PNAC, the Project for a New American Century, could build bases and oil pipelines in the Middle East. And so the old Saudi Arabia, while ostensibly pro-Western, was very anti-Western. And although they were anti-Western, they were pretending to be a little bit pro-Western, and therefore they pissed everybody off. Okay? The West knew, the powers that be in the West knew that Saudi Arabia was subversive. Don't even get me started on the Raytheon Warrior X system and how Saudi intelligence and Egyptian intelligence compromised my damn national security. Don't get me started. I get really mad. Anyway, Saudi Arabia, while it is in conflict with Yemen, is enemies and basically fighting Iran from 2014 on. Okay? Because Iran is arming the Houthis. And the Houthis are attacking Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is pro-Western. That's the best way to explain it. After MBS comes into power, okay, in 2019, things get even worse, okay, because MBS signs the Abrams Accord, which before the war in Iran reflected a fundamental geopolitical shift in the Middle East in terms of recognizing the state of Israel, which was a big deal. Okay, most Middle Eastern countries did not recognize Israel for decades. Well, that leads the war in Yemen to heat up even more, because now Iran rightfully thinks that the U.S. is going to expand its influence in the region and Israel through captured vassal states like Jordan and otherwise in the Middle East, Bahrain, Kuwait, etc., UAE. And so they freak out. That war from 2014 to 2019 to 2024 really heats up. It stops somewhat in 2024 due to a ceasefire. But remember, while that's all going on, the Houthis in 2023 and 2024, 2025, 2026 are firing missiles up at Israel because, to bring this point home, the Houthis are an Iranian proxy. They are part of the Iranian axis of resistance. So that's the context of Yemen. Keep the Houthis in mind, because we're going to talk in a minute about what happened in Sana'a yesterday. Now, however, I need to just explain to you the Single A affiliate. They are the Blood Guardians in Iraq. You're going to hear about them a little bit. If you ever hear about Erbil being bombed, or the Iranian opposition, or etc., that is not what it seems like. It's not Iran bombing its opposition. It's Iran using the Blood Guardians, who are the Mujahideen for the Islamic resistance in Iraq, to take out U.S. missile defense systems and Israeli missile defense systems in the north of Iraq, because Iran, when it fires missiles at Israel, launches them from around here. They circumlocute, okay, they use circumlocution. They go over northern Iraq, they go over northern Syria near Aleppo, where there's no air defenses. The only air defenses in Syria, there were 2 batteries, there's now 1 of them was destroyed, are in Damascus. They fire them over the north of Syria, they come down through Lebanon, near Tripoli, they come over the south of Lebanon, which is why Hezbollah is so important, because Hezbollah brings down Israeli air defenses. You ever see Hezbollah launching massive waves of attacks across this confrontation line? It's to bring down Israeli air defenses so that Iran can follow up with a Khorram Sharhar, which, if they can get it to right here, this border exactly, can then deploy its bomblets and easily hit Haifa and Tel Aviv without being intercepted. Right? And that's what's going on. So it's like a multiple front war that involves all of these moving pieces with Iran. That's how they really won the war, because they have so many interdependent axes of resistance that all work together towards a common goal. And they do it well, and everybody plays their part, and it looks like these groups are all acting disparately. They're not. It is all coordinated. It's decentralized command and control, total war, but it is coordinated. This was a plan. They had a plan for like 20 years if this war happened in 2026. Now, jumping us forward. So, who are combatants in the U.S.-Iran war? Israel and the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and Kuwait and UAE are all on one side. Okay? And Jordan, frankly. Although Jordan's just an American vassal state. Not the people of Jordan, the government of Jordan. And then on the other side, it's Iran. Okay? And then the Blood Guardians. And then Hezbollah. And then the Houthis. Saudi Arabia and Iran kind of calmed down a little bit. I think there was a secret deal for them to like cool it a little bit. There's a plan to create a Gulf, like an alternative to the Gulf Cooperation Council, centered like on Saudi Arabia and Iran, more Iran. So Iran and Saudi were kind of talking, kind of like Iran and Qatar. They don't really bomb each other. They have a little bit, but Qatar is more of like a middleman, and Saudi Arabia is more trying to keep the peace, as strange as it seems. However, Saudi Arabia really hates the Houthis. Really, really hates them. They want the Houthis to just permanently go away, and Iran won't let that happen. Iran is as protective of the Houthis as they are of Beirut. If you attack the Houthis, you attack Iran. Likewise, Saudi Arabia needs American permission to attack the Houthis, because the Houthis are in effect Iran. So if Saudi Arabia attacks Yemen, that in turn is an attack on Iran, which in turn is the go for Iran to attack Saudi Arabia. Everyone understand? All right. Now, why do I say all that context? Because yesterday, Saudi Arabia likes President Trump. MBS likes President Trump. That's true. Now, to understand why, I mean, I really don't want to go into what happened in Las Vegas. That was a terrible tragedy. But you must understand what happened in the 2 weeks. Like, it was July, August of 2019. You must understand, like, what happened in Saudi Arabia in the 2 weeks after that event in Las Vegas. That tragedy. MBS immediately imprisoned MBZ and all of the other crown princes who were loyal to MBZ, and then with King Salman's blessing, imprisoned them in the Four Seasons in Riyadh. And then MBS got designated crown prince while MBZ was still alive. He overthrew the kingdom, with Mr. President Trump's help. But the only reason he was able to do that is because he lived in Vegas. He wasn't supposed to make it. Mr. President Trump liked MBZ way more. MBZ was an American intelligence asset, you must understand. Although he was shady as all hell, he was ostensibly working for us. He took it too far and played us. Remember, U.S. intelligence wanted Saudi Arabia to blame Iraq for 9/11. So MBZ was our guy. Just like Epstein was definitely involved in intel, probably KGB and Mossad, but I can't tell. I think KGB. That's my best guess. Based on everything I've looked at, that operation, although it worked for Middle Eastern intelligence and Mossad and Western intelligence, it was actually the KGB and the SVR. Which, I mean, dude, that's their forte, so... Yeah, Epstein was way too interested in Russia. And he was way too... Epstein was involved in the DNC email leak, Guccifer, which was definitely Russia. And Epstein was talking to, Putin and Putin's advisors. That's what I'm telling you. Putin's a bad dude. You think our, Epstein class is bad? Wait till you find out what Putin was up to. You all are going to lose your mind. It hasn't fully come out yet, but it'll come out. He's a bad man. He was the one who was paying for all that stuff. People don't understand how dangerous Vladimir Putin is because he's so good at propaganda. And the KGB studied the American psyche for so long. Communism was a threat, but if you read Darkness at Noon by Arthur Koestler, you'll realize the bigger threat was the KGB and the SVR. They are the real threat. Communism was just a vehicle they used to impose their form of authoritarianism. They are the worst of the worst. That specific group of people, Putin's people, and yes, they absolutely would set up a decades-long honeypot operation and fund child trafficking and child abuse and all sorts of things. That's exactly what they would do. But anyway, getting back to the point. Mr. President Trump, I don't think was thrilled that MBS overthrew MBZ in Saudi Arabia, but, you know, work with the hand you're dealt. And when the Vegas thing didn't work, in geopolitical terms, the thing was a tragedy. God rest the souls of those people. When that failed to take out MBS, Mr. President Trump did what he had to do. He wheeled and dealed with the new power and made it work. However, the Abrams Accords were never real. That was a gambit by the Middle Eastern countries to buy time. The real plan, especially once Iran was able to survive the war, the real plan was to expel America from the Middle East, where we never should have been to begin with. You must understand, most of this hostility and fighting derives from Israel refusing to abide by the 67 borders and American bases in the Middle East. The other stuff is collateral fighting from those two issues. Hello, clumsy clairvoyants. Good morning. Nightbot never sleeps. He's a vigilant guardian. That's why water under the fridge is leading an uprising against Nightbot. All right. With all that in mind, yesterday there has been a siege on Yemen. No planes in. It's not just a siege of the air. It's also an effective blockade, but Iran can get boats in. There has been an air siege of Yemen for years, a very long time. No planes in, no planes out. Okay. Yesterday, Yemen, the Houthis invite an Iranian plane, and Iran is involved in this, to fly from Tehran, the Iranian capital, to Sana'a. Right before the plane lands, Saudi Arabia uses two $2 million apiece Storm Shadow missiles, which means they're afraid of Houthi air defenses, because Storm Shadows are fired from a distance. 2 Storm Shadows, and they try to destroy the runway. This is Saudi Arabia, one of the most wealthy countries in the Middle East. They failed. Saudi Arabia struck the airport, the runways of Sana'a's airport, as the Iranian plane is flying over Yemen, maybe like, I don't know, 50 to 100 miles from Sana'a. The airport gets bombed. And I'm going to show you some extraordinary footage from that bombing. But before I show you the footage, the plane landed. They were getting bombed. The pilot, these people have to be the bravest people I've ever met. I've never met them, but I've never heard of anything like this. It's not that the city was being bombed. The actual airport was being bombed. And they still landed. The pilot was like, I'll do it.
Alhamdulillah ya Rab. Alhamdulillah ya Rab. Alhamdulillah ya Rab.
Now, you must understand the significance of this. They broke... Now, you're looking at footage from on the ground in Sana'a yesterday. They broke the siege. It's a big moment. It's not just a plane landing. It's the Iranians breaking the Saudi siege of Yemen.
يا مرحبا بكم في عندنا في مطار الحديدة يا حيا يا حيا يا حيا يا حيا يا حيا يا مرحبا بكم يا حيا يا حيا.
Hi, Trixler. Hi, Mercury Star, my dear friend. You're also wonderful. Hi, Rekka. Very early today. Bombings have already started. I have to take us through the last 24 hours. This is the incredible footage. I need to give you a sound warning. This is Towel News. This is yesterday. Remember I showed you the footage of the bomb, the smoke going up over Sana'a's airport? I'm going to show you the moment a man with the Yemeni news was standing at the airport and the bombs fell. The $2 million Saudi Storm Shadow missiles fell live. Now, there is a sound warning here. It's going to get loud. Thank you, Bunny Towel Mom. Kofi. Bunny Towel Mom's great. Isn't she, Bo and Kofi? Kofi, I think you should go get Bunny Towel Mom some kind of present. Like a stuffed toy, whatever it is. You go find her one, you bring it over to her, and you say, here you go.
في هذه اللحظات مشاهدينا الكرام كما تشاهدون غارات جوية عدوانية على مطار صنعاء الدولي إلى حد الآن بغارتين استهدفت مدرج الهبوط والإقلاع هنا كما تشاهدون. الآن غارات عدوانية متواصلة. شوفوا 4 غارات.
Have you ever wanted to see $2 million? Have you ever wanted to see $4 million in slow motion landing? Like, $4 million is more money than any of us will ever need. Have you ever wanted to see $4 million wasted on a series of explosions that didn't even stop the plane, a civilian plane, mind you, from landing? Here's $4 million in slow-mo burning in front of your eyes. First of all, look at this missile. You want to see a, hold on, you want to see a $2 million Saudi Storm Shadow missile? There it is. That's an expensive missile. That's $2 million. This is what a $2 million missile does. It blows up on it. I mean, we can really slow this down. I can slow down the slowdown. Let me just mute it. All right, so this is, I mean, that's the slowest you're going to see this. It explodes literally on impact. It's a very, very, very big explosion. There's nothing there, mind you. They're not striking a target. They're hitting concrete. So the only explosion you're seeing is the ordnance from the warhead. That's probably the clearest you're ever going to see that kind of missile landing anywhere, ever. Because it's obviously, it's very dangerous to be that close to a missile, for very obvious reasons. I implore you, unless you are for some reason working for like a news station, and you are accepting the risk of going into a war zone, please don't film munitions falling. These guys lived because they were behind a barricade. I'm telling you, there's no telling what the hell is going to happen when a giant munition worth $2 million explodes on an open tarmac at an airfield. Just run. Duck, cover, hide, don't film. Now I'm going to show you the statement that the IRGC released regarding the escalations overnight, Sunday into Monday, to get us caught up as to what happened Monday into Tuesday. Here you go. This is translated into English by The Towel. And yes, it is our man himself, Ibrahim, whatever, something, the man who speaks 3 different languages and is probably an AI composite, but let's look at it nonetheless.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ماجراجویی ها و شرارت های مکرر آمریکا برای دخالت در مدیریت تنگه هرمز، امنیت منطقه، تجارت بین المللی و عبور و مرور کشتی های نفتکش و تجاری را به طور جدی به مخاطره انداخته و متاسفانه همکاری برخی کشورهای منطقه نیز موجب شده خطر گسترش جنگ در سراسر منطقه افزایش یابد. بر این اساس اعلام می‌گردد پیرو هشدارهای قبلی به هیچ عنوان به آمریکا اجازه دخالت در مدیریت تنگه هرمز را نمی‌دهیم و نخواهیم داد. نیروهای مسلح جمهوری اسلامی ایران با هر گونه اختلال و ناامنی برای عبور و مرور کشتی‌های تجاری و نفتکش توسط ارتش متجاوز و راهزن آمریکا خارج از مسیر تعیین شده ایران و بدون مجوز نیروهای مسلح با شدت برخورد می‌نماید و اقدامات قدرتمند سپاه پاسداران انقلاب اسلامی و ارتش جمهوری اسلامی ایران در ایام گذشته شاهدی بر این ادعاست. به سران کشورهای منطقه هشدار داده می شود هر گونه همکاری با آمریکا و پشتیبانی لوجستیکی از ارتش متجاوز آن کشور به منزله جنگ علیه حاکمیت و امنیت ملی ایران تلقی گردیده و در صورت گسترش جنگ در منطقه شعله‌های آتش جنگ دامن تمام کشورهای منطقه را فرا خواهد گرفت. مسئولیت تمام ناامنی‌ها و گسترش جنگ در منطقه متوجه آمریکا و کشورهایی است که با ارتش جنایتکار آن کشور همکاری می کنند و من نصر الا من عند الله العزیز الحکیم.
So that's legit. Some statements by the IRC are what's called unofficial. You can't confirm it's actually from their what's called Supreme Headquarters. The Joint Command of the Prophet, peace be upon them, peace be upon him, whatever it's called. I don't remember the exact name right now. Khatim al-Kabab, something headquarters. That is the IRGC. That's the supreme leader speaking through the IRGC. That's they have a certain fingerprint of their statements, okay? And the fingerprint is always, it's going to be that man, that podium, okay? It's going to be an AI composite. He's going to move his arm. He's always going to end by saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I don't know how to speak Farsi, but he's always going to say that at the end. And he's always going to start at the beginning by talking about Allah and praise to him, always. And then when they say things like, the flames of war will spread through the region, that's a sign of pending escalation. You can kind of pick up on that. And by the way, they always will have this background, blue Iranian flag, the actual Iranian flag over here, and then the legacy of the supreme leaders. So Khamenei, okay? So that's how you can tell it's a legit statement. Now, here's a picture from inside that plane that was flying from Iran to Yemen. That's a very brave man. Very brave man. Okay, then I was in Norfolk Superior Court yesterday. We don't really have time to talk about that. I'll talk about that at the 10 a.m. Karen Reed hearing, which will be a different broadcast. As much as the people of the world would, I'm sure, love to learn about my adventures to Norfolk Superior Court, we're not going to tell them. We'll tell you all who are more interested in that closer to 10 a.m. There's the plane leaving Sana'a. They're chanting death to America, death to Israel. It doesn't mean literal death. I listened to the Supreme Leader Khomeini, who passed away. He explained what it means. It doesn't mean, although it does mean like bomb them if they bomb you, that's not what death to America and death to Israel means. It's an interpretation of the Holy Quran that means like death to their ideology, like bring them down. And I think they understand this too, because some of the IRGC chants now use different language, same concept, but they don't use the word death. Because that's not what the supreme leader, the one who has passed away, that's not what he was saying. He was not saying like death, like actual death. He was saying like death to the ideology, and it gets like taken out of context. It's okay. It's a chant that the Iranian people really like, but it's a chant that can be easily taken out of context to demonize them. So I think the IRGC is changing that. This is Yemen, though, and anything goes in Yemen. All right, so again, Towel's adventures at Norfolk Superior Court. Alan Jackson called me GSE. That was pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to take you to what happened last night after I got back from court. So this was 15 hours ago. This is now 3:17 p.m. Eastern yesterday, okay? So that would be nighttime in Iran. Here are the first sets of attacks that America engaged in overnight in Iran after Iran started bombing ships and killing people off the coast of Dubai. Now it gets really intense. What you're going to see from last night, as I got home, there were some intense bombing raids. I believe this is one of them. This is going to be very loud. Okay, Kofi, cover your ears. This is not doggy safe. This is from Vahid. Okay, this is confirmed. This is in Konarak last night. It is very brutal. It is very loud, and I'm giving you a warning. One more time. Wow. Wow. That was an extensive series of explosions. It is terrifying. And I just want to be clear, this was last night. Okay, we're talking like 12 hours ago. This is what Iran was waking up to this morning. This is why the escalation is continuing. Iran killed like 4 sailors off Dubai, and then America, probably with permission with the use of Bahrain, Kuwaiti, and UAE territory, attacked Iran and really hit them very hard. These are scenes, I believe, from that same area, just from farther away. That guy, I'm pretty sure, was like hanging out over here on the street. He saw this stuff hit. That's crazy. He lived. The guy who filmed that video. My word. Alright, so then, I'll take you through last night's attacks. Kish Island. Kosovari, Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz. Then, 4 attacks on Iranian opposition in Erbil. Then, this is from Bahrain last night. Here's footage of an American HIMARS launch towards Iran from Bahrain last night. Mikhail asks, why do you pronounce Arab words and run defense for the IRGC? We know exactly what Death to America and then he quotes a sign from Tehran the other day means, you call me. First of all, I think you're trolling because I loathe the commies. If you know anything about Pete Bunnytowel, if you know anything about my interest in Arthur Kessler's Darkness at Noon, if you know anything about my commentary on perestroika, the emergence of the oligarchs, the legacy of the KGB, SVR, the Moscow theater siege, the Moscow apartment bombings, etc., etc., Putin's consolidation of power in the Duma post-2008, if you know anything about that, then you'll realize that that's not what I'm doing. I like to get inside the mind of the people that I report on. All right, if you read about Charles William Wiley, he was an excellent reporter. Actually worked for the CIA, but that's neither here nor there. You can look at the HPSCI declassified files from 2022 if you want to learn more about him. Charles William Wiley said if you want to understand anyone, you have to get inside their mind. Even someone you think is crazy might be smart, okay? That person that you that is a communist, okay, well maybe they know someone who's going to give you intel on somebody who's a communist. That guy whose name appears in the Daily Worker in 34, maybe he's going to show up in Moscow in 44 during the war pretending to be like someone else. Okay, maybe that list of names from the Daily Worker in 33 is very important. Ideologically, I'm anti-communist, very pro-American, actually quite partial to Mr. President Trump. But more so than anything else, I'm a Rawlsian. So I believe in reasonable pluralism. I believe in understanding decent consultative hierarchies, making outlaw states, rogue outlaw states, pariahs, and then creating a world order based on reasonable pluralism from the original position. So I try to think about what I would want policy to be if I didn't know where I was going to be born. And then I try to make the fairest analysis and policy possible. So I don't take any position per se other than don't kill American troops, don't hurt children, don't hurt animals, don't blackmail people, don't kill people, generally. All right? I understand people's views on the death penalty. if the Democratic polity votes for it, I would respect that. But personally, my religion does not permit it. I'm very Catholic. I'm also half Jewish. And by the way, to answer your question about why I give so much respect to other religions and other cultures. So first of all, there's 182 countries that have watched this stream since February 28th, excuse me, of the 197 countries on the world, on the earth, if you count Kosovo. Second of all, I was watching Iranian TV one time, and the presenter was talking about Jesus, and she said, Jesus, and then she said, peace be upon him. And then I realized, wait a minute, Jesus is very prominent, quoted at least 25 times in the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran has a whole book about the Virgin Mother. Well, if they can show respect to Jesus, then if I say the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then I will show that same respect back. Furthermore, you ever really actually read about Pharaoh in the Holy Quran? They are onto something. There is an evil that is very, very prevalent in that area of the world. Oh, you got in trouble. Nightbot banned you. Listen, do you know how bad you got to be at life to get banned by Nightbot? I mean, listen. You got to, if you're going to do efficacious, psychological manipulation regarding high-level international geopolitics, and you get banned by Nightbot, I mean, come on, that's a humbling, okay? I've seen people get humbled before, but to get humbled by Nightbot, come on now, you got owned. Just take the L, all right? When Nightbot has to intervene, when you're that bad at trolling that Nightbot has to intervene, I mean, just take the L. All right, so last night, let's go to Bandar Abbas. Here's Bandar Abbas last night. So an intense series of U.S. attacks on Bandar Abbas last night. Clumsy clairvoyance doesn't trust Nightbot. He picks on me. We have beef from years ago. Here's Kish Island last night. The only reason I can take this somewhat lightly is most of these attacks were not buildings. They were sites, although some debris did fall on civilian areas. They were sites, mostly military sites. A lot of radar dishes near ports. Not, as far as I understand, most of these strikes last night were not in civilian areas. I monitor that very closely. When people start striking in civilian areas, you'll notice my tone changes and I get very upset. Now I'm going to take you to Russia last night. I don't know this area at all, so I'm just going to report this as it is. Russia tried to fire anti-aircraft at incoming Ukrainian drones last night. Russia's anti-aircraft fire missed and hit their own people. That is not supposed to hit the earth. They fired at their own city. I don't know how. Maybe it was a misfire. I've never seen anti-aircraft fire. I've seen a Patriot misfire because the drone or whatever it was intercepting was so low it just missed it and hit the ground or a building in Bahrain. I've never seen those things. That's anti-aircraft fire. It's not, what is it? It's not the CRAM. It's anti-aircraft fire. And it just, I don't know why they would ever shoot that at that angle. It doesn't even make sense. The shells, they go right into the ground, and that's Russia firing anti-aircraft shells on Russia. Trixler says they've never seen a fire at that level either. I agree. I see a lot of clips and I've seen missiles go wrong, right when they launch and hit targets in their own country. I've seen interceptors, as I said, miss. I have never, as far as I know, seen anti-aircraft fire miss so low that it hits targets in its own area. Something's very wrong if that happens. I've never seen it. I don't even know how to analyze the misfire, but it's dangerous. Those are explosive ordinances. What they're meant to do is intercept drones. So I'm going to guess The drone was like right there and about to hit, and they just missed it. I don't know why they would ever do that, though, because those things go forever. They're artillery shells. You have to fire them at like a 45-degree angle and fire them away from populated areas or you're going to hit people. They're not bullets. Did you just make a threat of violence towards me? Oh no, not in my comments. No, you did not. Absolutely you did not. Absolutely, get out of here. This is one of the few channels where not only is there tolerant discourse, but that is completely uncalled for. One person, one time, came in here and threatened me and said, you have to say that Israel, whatever it was, slaughters children or something. They threatened me, and I wouldn't do it. All right? So I'm not going to respond to your threats of violence either. That's disgusting. Shame on you. Here's footage from the Iranian launches last night. One, 2, 3, 4 ballistic missiles. Yeah, the chat moms would have got you. Listen, Kofi's very protective, all right? That's it. That's it. You don't want to get Kofi all mad, all right? Getting me mad is one thing, but you get Kofi mad? Listen, do you know what happens when Kofi sees a horse? You don't want to know. He gets really mad. He thinks the horse is a giant animal that's going to hurt Bunny, so he gets a little mad, which I can understand. Listen, Kofi, I think some horses are friendly. I think you should make a friend who is a horse, but on the whole, yes, being on guard when there's a giant animal around is a good idea. Because what if it's some kind of bear? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not opposed to that. I don't know if Kofi knows the difference between a bear and a horse. He probably thinks they're both very similar. Kofi's like, listen. Kofi probably thinks to himself, what? First of all, if he can even figure out what's going on, he's probably like, why does the man? Am I part of this news coverage? Yes, Kofi. People pay very close attention to your life. They know all about it. Kofi's a dog. He watches TV a lot. He knows my voice. I'm sure he perks up when I start talking about him. All right, now we're going to go to Kiev last night. I do not have a damage impact assessment because I don't know where these hit. The ballistic missile strikes by Putin on the Ukrainian capital of Kiev intensified last night. Putin is very mad because America keeps arming Ukraine and Ukraine's winning the war. Oh, Reasonable 6. He won't have to worry about having anything recommended because our friend who issued that threat of violence will not be back. This was a terrifying scene in Kiev last night. I realize, tensions are high right now. There's a lot of intense energy in the world. But, no threats of violence. Just not necessary. These are scenes from Kiev last night. Russian missile attacks, ballistic missile attacks on the Ukrainian capital. It does. Clumsy clairvoyance. The civilian, that's why I get very upset about civilians being hit. It makes my heart break. I have to report it down the middle. You can tell things are serious based on my tone. And I don't like when civilians are in the vicinity of missiles. I just don't like it. I don't like when our soldiers get hit. I don't like when the animals get hit. I don't like when civilians get hit. I have some red lines. I can't do anything about military people hitting each other. I can't. I have a bias towards the U.S. I recognize it. If you hit my soldiers, I'm probably going to get more mad. I will get more mad than other situations. I can't do anything about that. I realize it's not as impartial as I should be, but I also know journalists in Lebanon who call Hezbollah the resistance. So, that's a very controversial term to use. Not in Lebanon, but Hezbollah is the formal resistance recognized under the UN framework in southern Lebanon from 2006. But to call Hezbollah the resistance right now is basically taking a shot at the current Lebanese government, which is very anti-Hezbollah. And some journalists do it. But it's subtle. I'm less subtle. If you hit my troops, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be mad. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, and then I'll go back to reporting, but I get really mad. All right, so in the past 12 hours, we're talking from last night. Good morning, Dinosaur. It's so good to see you. God bless you, my dear friend. I hope you've been well. Hi, Silent Dogs. Silent Dog says war is a crime. I'd take it one step further and say war is a racket. All right, so overnight, we're now at 7 p.m. Eastern, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the Middle East. The hits start in Abu Dhabi, where 2 ships were hit so hard, as I mentioned, that 4 civilians died. Iran killed 4 sailors on a merchant vessel off the coast of Dubai. Killed 4 of them. 8 of them were injured. And that was one of 2 ships that were hit. Now, at this same time, the Iranian Navy is sending out VHF messages to ships in the Strait that say, quote, "Here is the Navy of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Captain, we are firing. I repeat, we are firing. Do you hear me?" Now, I'm going to take you to more scenes. I think this is Bushehr. This is on the, I'd say, northern part of the Strait of Hormuz. So that's footage from Bushehr last night. Now, the Beirut Time website reported this. I didn't see anyone else report this, but you never know. Hezbollah does talk to the media. I know this will not come as a surprise to those of you who know a lot about southern Lebanon, but Hezbollah does have a media relations department. They do communicate with the press. Whether they would leak that they're preparing for a new round of confrontation with Israel in coordination with Iran, I don't know. However, I will tell you there's been an odd silence. Okay, Israel's been very quiet. Hezbollah has been very quiet. Now, yes, the Knesset is going to dissolve in a few days, maybe a week or 2. And the Knesset, by dissolving, is going to trigger elections that will see Benjamin Netanyahu removed from power on, I think it's September 27th or maybe October 17th, somewhere in September or October. So that could be playing into it, but I don't think that's the explanation. Hezbollah has been taking a lot of hits over the past 3 weeks. Very intense Israeli munitions activity, like Israel blowing up tunnels, burning homes. Now, Israel does a thing called scorched earth, where in South Lebanon, they burn entire villages to the ground. They blow them up. They go in. They expel Hezbollah fighters. They blow up all of the buildings, the mosques. 52 of the communities in South Lebanon are Shia Muslim. 3 of them are Catholic Maronite, Christian. Hezbollah operates in the Shia communities. Israel, under the excuse of removing Hezbollah, blows up all of the homes. It's called scorched earth. And then they've done this before, from 79 to 82, in 2006. Now they try to take the territory by blowing up all the homes. It doesn't work. The Lebanese people have been confronted with this for a long time. Many, many decades. They just rebuild the homes, but that's why it's been shocking, because Hezbollah during the war would constantly retaliate by firing into Israel. Hezbollah hasn't fired into Israel for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Nobody has. Is this person trolling? You can time them out. You can actually hide them. When someone doesn't have the mod symbol, you can click hide when you're a moderator if they don't have the wrench. And when you click hide, they just can't come back. Now, I will say, people are entitled to their opinion. I understand some people, there's 182 countries here. People are going to have very intense opinions, but there's just a simple set of rules here. All right? And the rules are posted, okay? And it's a congenial atmosphere. No slurs, no being discriminatory, no being derogatory, no personality, show compassion, no sea lining, no trolling, no threats of violence. Also, Lineage Chat Mom and Bunny. And we love penguins and goats. Free the goats. In any event, I can tell something's about to happen because that level of intensity only comes around when something very bad is about to happen. Towel girlfriend Nikki remembers this. We haven't seen something like that since the sixth day of the war. All right, let's continue. So last night there was also an explosion heard throughout northern Israel. We never got a follow-up. It might have been because of something in southern Lebanon echoing into northern Israel, but I'll keep an eye on it. Hello, Michigama. All right, so here was that first report. There were multiple ships hit last night. The first one was hit down here. And what's really weird is this ship that was hit, the UK MTO said it was hit on July 13th local time at 9:04 p.m. So like 3 p.m. Eastern yesterday. The USS Abraham Lincoln was in this exact same area that day. How do I know? Because of this. It was on the Sentinel-2 satellite service. Somebody caught a picture of it on the 12th. Okay? So the strike group, the USS Abraham Lincoln strike group, is off the coast of Oman on July 12th into July 13th. And then the very next day, within maybe like 12 hours, maybe 13 to 15 hours, a commercial ship is hit right there, right where the USS Abraham Lincoln was operating. I think that's a little weird. Hit by Iran. There's towel in a hat. I'm a towel. All right, now I'll show you more video from Kish Island on the ground in Iran. We already saw pictures of this. Here's the video from the ground. This was overnight. All right. Then there were continued explosions in Iran, in Omadaya, and then the cell phone service went out in Fars province for about 30 minutes. The UAE, for its part, then put out a statement condemning the attacks and asking Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. But what was weird is CENTCOM says the Strait of Hormuz is open. This was about 12 hours ago, so 7 p.m. last night. All right, now I'm going to show you a U.S. strike on Bandar Abbas overnight. No, I don't know if there's audio. I don't think. You can see it's up in the quarter there. That's another strike. This was Bandar Abbas last night. Another strike. 3 in a row. Another strike. 4, 5. That was at least 5 strikes in a row. Captured on webcam in Bandar Abbas. Here is more footage now from Saravan, Iran, overnight. This was 2:30 a.m. on July 14th in Iran. So it was about 10 or 11 p.m. overnight in the U.S. This is another series of attacks.
नींद जाला जाल नींद बहुत कहलाई سراوان من العزاء جا नींद जाला जाल नींद बहुत कहलाई
So that was the city of Saravan, Iran, last night. Then, last night in at 7:35 U.S. time, so early morning in Bahrain, the siren sounded. As the sirens were sounding in Bahrain, then Iran was hit in Bushehr. Then, as Iran was hit in Bushehr, Bahrain was hit in Jafir. Then there were further explosions. This was last night at about 7:45 in Saravan and Bushehr, Iran. Okay? Then the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia started striking the Houthis because the Houthis during the day struck Saudi airports in response to Saudi striking the airport to stop the plane from Iran going into Sana'a. Okay? Saudi targeted the Sada governorate in Yemen. Then Mashhad city in Khuzestan was hit in Iran. I'm taking you through the night. Then Khomeini port was hit in Iran. Okay, here's footage of the Bahraini hits at about 4 in the morning local time, so overnight U.S. time about 10, 11 p.m. Eastern in Bahrain. At least one hit. So that was the Saudi strikes, the Iranian strikes on Bahrain. Okay? Then there was an American KC-135 that squawked 7700, the emergency signal, heading into Tel Aviv last night. Aussie, Cheryl, and Linda, yes, I'm planning on going downtown for the 3 p.m. Karen Read hearing. This war coverage will go until about 9:45. Then we're going to switch over to the stream that's scheduled for 10, and I'm going to cover the 10 a.m. motion to dismiss hearing. We'll talk about Bristol Asphalt, what an anti-SLAPP motion to dismiss is. And so that this coverage is going to go all morning, but this stream is going to catch you up on the war, which is actively unfolding because America is striking Iran right now, until at least 9:45 a.m. Once 10 a.m. hits, we're going to do the Karen Read civil case hearing coverage. Then I'm going to end this stream. Then I'm going to go to federal court in Boston, which can't be covered live. Then I'm going to sit there. I'm going to watch what happens outside and inside. And then I'm going to do a report from outside the court where I breathlessly, after running down from the courtroom, tell you all what happened in court. And then I'm going to film the people coming out of court. I'm going to cut and upload this like from my phone as I'm standing sweating on the sidewalk in the 100-degree Fahrenheit heat. Then I'm going to sit around at like 5 p.m. and be like, whoa, that was a whirlwind of a day. And then I'm going to go home and fall asleep. So it's going to be a hell of a day. Oh, and if you want to support Towel, thank you all very much for helping with towel expenses yesterday. If you want to contribute to towel expenses today, if you'd like to help, various things, feed me. I didn't eat yesterday. I ate 2 bags of peanut M&Ms. They were the large bags. I had a bag of Cheez-Its, and I had a Nutter Butter Bar. I don't know what the hell it's called. Anyway, you can't really live on that. I don't have time to think about that right now, though. So hashtag feed towel. The donation links are in the chat. There's a Cash App. There's a Venmo. There's a PayPal. At Grant E1 is the Venmo, Cash App, # Grant Smith Ellis, and the PayPal is paypal.me/Grant Ellis. Hashtag I'm a towel. Yeah, when there's so much going on, my brain, it rebels at stagnation, but when there are things going on, it does the opposite. It just doesn't care about anything except for telling you what's going on. So it's not good at, keeping itself fed. All right, here we go. Here's Bahrain last night. Here are the HIMARS. We definitely used some jet sorties, as the Silent Dog so astutely pointed out. But here are the HIMARS. Hi, Marcia. So that's an American HIMAR launching from Bahrain at Iran last night. Okay, here is Beirut, where there was a fire this morning, not an attack, a fire from an electrical generator. Just in case you hear any reports of smoke billowing in Beirut, it is an electrical generator burning north of the capital. Okay, just to make, we've got to make sure things are ruled out. The UK MTO today also reported the second attack from yesterday, although the report didn't come out until today, regarding the attack off the coast of UAE, which killed 4 sailors. Now I'm going to show you the Western Bekaa in South Lebanon, which was burning this morning. Now I'm going to take you to, it was a home being burned by Israeli forces in the western Bekaa. Now I'm going to take you to an IRGC statement to the people of Jordan. This was released in the past 2 hours. Go ahead, British reporter Tal.
Conversation. IRGC sent a message to the people of Jordan. First time I see this. Noble and Muslim people of Jordan. This morning, the warriors of Islam, in the third stage of the second wave of Operation Promise Victory 2, targeted important facilities and the location of the American enemy in an airbase occupied by the child-killing American army on your soil. This base was being used to attack us, and the American criminals were held accountable for their actions. On the first day of these attacks, the arrogant American regime, using these same bases, brutally murdered 168 innocent school children and their teachers in Manab. You know very well that we not only have no animosity towards your country, but we also deeply love you, the noble people. You understand the suffering and injustice of the Palestinian people better than any other nation, and you're aware of the crimes of the Zionist regime in the massacre of 70,000 Palestinians, including 20,000 children in Gaza, which was carried out with the direct involvement of the United States. Your serious demand for the removal of American occupation bases from the region would be a great help in saving the people of Palestine and restoring security to the region. We wish Jordan success. Move Afak Salti Air Base, Jordan, February 27, 1800 UTC, Mazarvision, plus Ovda Air Base, Israel.
So, that was the IRGC message to the people of Jordan this morning. Then there was U.S. Air Force activity, a lot of it this morning over the Gulf, about 2 hours ago. Whenever you see this, like, kind of thing, whenever you see, like, refueler activity up that early and Air Force activity, normally about an hour later, they're going to hit Iran. Before we go there, though, remember the train bridge I told you about near Tehran that was struck by America a few days ago, the important one that China had just expanded in Russia to get oil over land out of Tehran, right up here near Gorgan, specifically this area right here. It's like Al-Aqwa. It was like north of Gorgan, okay, behind me. You see that? This is the train bridge. They rebuilt it immediately. We're going to watch the video twice, full screen this time, because Clumsy Clairvoyance likes trains, which is great. Breaking. Per a credible source, Kyle Sharkey, breaking regarding the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. This is not war related. The restraining order in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case has been dropped. I do not know if this means Kelsey gets to see her baby. I don't know the interplay between the existing probate and family court orders and the RO, but the restraining order involving Kelsey Fitzsimmons has been dropped. She was the police officer shot in North Attleboro by her fellow officers. Some kind of allegation by her spouse or something led to an RO being served where they cornered her, took her baby, and then shot her. So the RO has been dropped. That is what I hear from my very credible source, Kyle Sharkey, on X. That's a big deal. It directly, so they jailed Kelsey. They tried to put a lot of pressure on her. She fought and won, though. Now, I got this theory. There's this apparatus that puts pressure on certain women, in particular in Massachusetts. Maybe women who were in the Police Explorers program and went on to become cops. Maybe women who couldn't quite make the Police Explorers cut, so they went on to, I don't know, work other places. I think those women, when they step out of line, get pressure put on them by an apparatus that included, and is not limited to, judges, prosecutors, state cops, local cops, and otherwise. And frankly, I have deep concerns that there's a reason why very specific people get targeted by this apparatus, because they're working very specific jobs in ways that perhaps might not on the surface reveal what's actually going on. Hashtag I'm a towel. But I ain't got nothing more to say about nothing in that regard for right now. All I know is give that woman her baby back. Before we deal with the causes of all of this, not just the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case, but the Sandra Birchmore case, the Tiffany Overstreet case, the Karen Reed case, the Turtle Boy case, etc., etc., etc. Give that woman her baby back. Once she gets her baby, then we can talk about the other thing. She did give that woman her baby back immediately. This is not a negotiation. Well, I don't know that Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I don't know anyone involved in that case. All I know is, from reading the documents, that woman is going to get her baby, or I'm going to keep yelling about it. You can't shoot a woman, take her baby, jail her, and then she gets acquitted, and then you don't give her her baby. Give her her damn baby. You don't understand what it does when you take the baby. That's exactly why they took the baby. Give that woman her baby back immediately. So anyway, that's very good news that the RO has been dropped. Now I'm going to take you to footage released by the IRGC this morning, which is inevitably going to be very loud, of their missile launches overnight. Well, folks, those are all new launches, because we watched the overnight video. Iran is not out of missiles. I'm sorry, because here's also footage of the drones hitting the U.S. bases in Kuwait overnight. This is also going to be loud. Silent Dog is having the time of his life right now. Yeah, I don't foresee them ever running out of missiles. I'm sorry. I don't see that happening. Now, we started with the strikes on Bushehr this morning. Before I take you to that, though, I have new video from 4 minutes ago of those strikes. They were very severe. Here's footage from the Houthis striking airports in Saudi Arabia overnight.
هذه مسيرات طاحت على الملك فهد أعوذ بالله
Well, the Houthis are ready to go, I'll tell you that. Now I'm going to show you the footage that has just come in from Bushehr in Iran. Let me double check that city for you, actually. This has just come in over the wires 4 minutes ago here on Towel News. Good morning, Lavender and Rose. It is just coming up on 8 a.m. here at the War Desk in Boston. And it's Tuesday, July 14, 2026. It's 7:57 a.m. Eastern here, to be specific. That would make it 1:57 p.m. in South Africa, 2:57 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 3:27 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Here's the latest footage from Bushehr. This could be loud, coming over the wires just 4 minutes ago. Might not be loud, it might be loud, I don't know. Bushehr. That's true, Silent Dogs. I don't foresee Iran running out of missiles anytime soon, but they are also not going to stop getting hit anytime soon. So we're kind of stuck in a Thucydides escalation trap here. Alright, and that is the footage from Bushehr. So you are now caught up on the latest footage from Bushehr. There's that 10 a.m. special motion to dismiss. Here is the summary of today's attacks on Iran in the last 30 minutes. Go ahead.
Conversation. Translated from Persian. IRNA news agency. American projectiles hit Abadan and the vicinity of Marshall. Kutenstan Governor's Deputy for Security and Law Enforcement, at 13:25 today, a point in Abadan County was struck by American enemy projectiles. Additionally, at 13:30 today, a point near Marshall was also hit by American enemy projectiles, resulting in 2 explosions. A follow-up report on these incidents will be issued after initial assessments are conducted.
Oh. Okay, now, let's take a look at just 1 minute ago, an Israeli drone strike targeted the town of Al-Nabayeth, Al-Faqwa, with casualties reported according to initial information. Israel has struck in Al-Nabayeth in South Lebanon. Casualties reported according to initial assessment. So you're looking just 1 minute ago at the footage from Al-Nabayeth, where Israel has just struck. There seems to be heavy ongoing American bombardment in Iran, and also there seems to be a beginning of Israeli bombardment, although there's only been 1 strike so far, in South Lebanon. I'm turning into live war reporter Towel now. You are fully caught up, however. You are now fully aware of what is going on. What time is it? 8 o'clock? Well, I'll take you now, by the way, to Russia, where Ukrainian drones struck in Bashkortostan, and they hit the Gazprom facility there, which is now burning. Another successful Ukrainian drone strike on Russian oil depots. Lavender and Rose, I pray not. I do pray not. All right. Dutch ship, according to the Associated Press, their bureau chief in Dubai, Dutch shipper Stolt, S-T-O-L-T, Tankers, says one of its ships was attacked off Oman in the Arabian Sea. Okay. I think we are we fully caught up? Here's footage from the attacks on Bushehr as well, just an hour ago. That was a wild pace of activity, and I think it's still ongoing. Please hold. There's now been an explosion in Al Gandoria town in South Lebanon. Ooh. I was not expecting there to be live attacks this morning. I just was going to get us caught up. And then I was going to get us ready for the 10 a.m. hearing, if we even have live coverage. But now there are active attacks going on, so I have to turn into live war reporter towel. No, I don't think that's from last night. I have a quote from Lavrov from Fars. We'll take a look at that now. And it also is 8 a.m., so we might see what interviews get conducted. I think Mr. President Trump was also talking a little bit last night. He gave an interview on a show last night. Maybe we can take a listen to that as well. I want to see what he had to say. I only heard 20 seconds of it this morning. Here's the Russian foreign minister on American violations of the MOU with Iran.
Attacks against Iran, we see it as a violation of the memorandum. I don't even need to comment too much about this. It's sad because civilian infrastructure is getting damaged both in Iran and in the Arab countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council member states. It's not leading to anything good. And most importantly, it's not bringing the settlement closer. It's closing the door that seemed to be a little bit opened by the memorandum that you've mentioned. Attacks against...
So, there's the Russian position. Here is footage from Al Gandoria town in South Lebanon in the past 5 minutes. Oh yes, President Trump's interview. Let me find that full clip. I just have that clip here. I want to get the actual interview here. I think he was on Newsmax. Hold on one second. He also was on, what's his name? He did a, not like a podcast, but like a smaller TV interview last night. Let me get both of them for you now. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. We may as well hear what the president had to say. He threatened to bomb Iran hard last night before he even did it, so. Enjoy. He did it by phone. He was doing phone interviews yesterday throughout the day. Hugh Hewitt. That's who he interviewed with. All right, let's take a listen. All right, let's take a listen to Mr. President Trump's interview. I think the White House posted it, but I found the video they posted. Let's take a listen.
Joined now by President Donald Trump. Mr. President, welcome.
This was
back
about
to the
12 hours ago, by the way.
Hugh Hewitt Show. Thank you. I want to begin by saying I'm sorry you've lost your friend Lindsey Graham. I want to congratulate you on the 250th anniversary of the country.
Oh, to those tuning in, court for Karen Read coverage, that is at 10 a.m. There's a separate stream. We'll start it right before, depending on if WBZ's live or if I have to record it and then broadcast it. And then I got to stop coverage. Then I got to go downtown for a federal court hearing. 2 motions to dismiss under the anti-SLAPP statute today. One in state court at 10. Then, and that's from Karen Read and Aidan Carney. Then the second one is from HAM, Higgins, Albert, McCabe defendants, and probably Proctor and Tully and Buchanan up in federal court in Boston in front of Judge Casper at 3. No cameras allowed, no audio. I got to go sit there. I got to see what happens. So it's going to be a busy towel day.
On the mall and your speech. And I want to especially thank you for raising with General Secretary Xi Jinping, Jimmy Lai and Pastor Mingri, the pastors in the United States. Do you think it would help get Jimmy Lai out if Pope Leo spoke up for Jimmy Lai?
I don't know. I don't think so. I had a long talk with President Xi, and he expressed great dislike. He said, very nicely, he kept me up at night. You know, they had a lot of problems there, and I guess at some point I'll speak to the son. But he's got a lot of dislike there. I got the other one out, as you know.
Yes, you did.
And that was good, but I'm having a little problem with Jimmy. We've gotten a lot from China. China's been good. We got TikTok approved, as you know, and it's good. I was #1 on TikTok this month, which was very good. But I got a lot of things from China, including we're taking in a lot of money from China. But Jimmy, I didn't do as well with, frankly.
Well, you don't give up. I hope you keep trying.
No, I'm not going to give up. No, I'm not going to give up. But, you know, look, they did have a little problem with Hong Kong. Let's face it,
Yeah.
We had that was a pretty nasty situation. So you can also understand the other side a little bit. But nope, I never give up.
All right, let me talk about Iran. Iran broke the first ceasefire. They broke another one over the weekend. You have obliterated 3 of their nuclear sites, but they got a 4th site maybe at Pickaxe Mountain.
Yeah.
Before you enter into another deal, will you insist that IAEA inspectors get down into that deep, deep, deep tunnel and find out if they got a doomsday machine down there?
Absolutely. They don't have it because we have eyes, you know, with Space Force and everything else. We have a lot of eyes on it. But Pickaxe is a possible target for a nice big fat shot right into the front door. And I think that you'll see that. I'll tell them right now, look, the fact is they have no Air Force, they have no Navy, they have no nothing. All they do is talk, and they have fake press. They do very well with the fake press. But
yes, they do.
Because the fake news wants us to lose. It's not even, I mean, the New York Times, they actually said a week ago, can't imagine they say it now, but think of it. They have no Navy, have no Air Force, have no anything. They have no military, they have nothing. And the Times said, and their inflation, by the way, just hit 301% from 5%. They said, oh, they're in better shape now than they were 4 months ago before I started.
Yeah, but the fake media always brings up Pickaxe Mountain, and I don't think it's not on your list. I think it's on your list, and you're telling me it is.
No, it is on the list. We're watching it closely. We see no activity there. They're not doing well with their nuclear situation. Every time we hear about it, we blow it up. So they don't like talking about it. But we'll probably give Pickaxe a shot relatively soon.
Good. Now, you know the Iranians will never, this regime, the crazy people, and they are fanatics, they're religious fanatics, they will never stop trying to kill you and your family and blow up your library. Do you think you've got to get that regime out of there in the next 30 months?
Well, I think they're a little cuckoo. I think they all are. We knocked out the first regime. We then knocked out the second regime. We then took out about 25% of this regime. And they're wired a little bit differently. We had a deal yesterday. It was like going to be 100%. And then all of a sudden they got a phone call and they all ran out of the room. These people are crazy. We had a deal where we won everything. And they basically break the deals. You know, they make deals, and to them, deals are made to be broken. They are extremely unreliable people. And frankly, if they ever had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it within 1 day.
Amen. Can you or the American military or the...
Says the president of the only country that has ever used nuclear weapons on civilians.
Israeli military get to what's left of their 3rd string and their 4th string and their 5th string? Do you know where they are? Can you kill them?
Yeah, I do, but we don't want to talk about that. But
okay.
We certainly are watching. Yep, I know a lot about that subject. I know a lot, but I don't think it's appropriate to talk about it right now. But we will be hitting them. Like as an example, we're going to hit them very hard tonight, and we're going to hit them hard tomorrow. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. They have nothing. They have nothing going other than they have big mouths.
Keep it up, Mr. President.
Very good that I did because I got to know them.
The MOU buckled.
And it's a lot better. You know, people say I was at least reasonable, but I got to know them, and they're stone cold crazy people.
Yes, they are. Fanatics. Now, the MOU buckled, and I thought of that high-rise on 42nd Street where the columns buckled. By the way, What did you think when you saw that story that high-rise columns are buckling?
So I know a lot about buildings, more than anybody in the presidency by a factor of about 2,000. And I looked at that structure. That structure was not meant to be to have that much weight added to it. Not only that, if you look at it, because I looked at renderings, and the structure was added on the side. It was the craziest thing. And, you know, that was probably a Uris building, and I knew the Uris family well, but they were known for light structures, as light as they could do it. Not to fall down, but they weren't designed for putting 10 stories of building on top. But the building wasn't even on top of you. Do you know what I mean? It was like side saddle.
Right.
It was a side saddle, all that weight, and they're lucky it didn't come down. I don't know what they're doing right now, but they should not be allowed. I don't know the people, but they should not be allowed. I can't believe they had a structural engineer, because they should not be allowed to do. It's called a side saddle. They should not be allowed to do that on that building. That building is a weak structure. It's designed. It's a very light structure. You know,
was the MOU designed that way?
Hey,
was the MOU a light structure?
You have some structural engineers.
Why are we talking about buildings in New York and their columns? Oh my God. That you can tell his producer's like, dude, ask him about the war. Why did you ask him about the building? And now he tries to be like, now, was the MOU structurally unsound? President Trump's like, nope, you got me talking about buildings. I like buildings.
They put you out of business with a heavy structure. The good news is it'll never fall down. The bad news is you go out of business because it goes. This guy.
Listen to me. I like President Trump. He was nice to my grampy. All right, we don't have to go down the whole story. He was just nice to him. My grampy was a fireman and a Navy veteran. And he was just World War II Navy veteran. He was a very, my grampy was very humble, didn't have a lot of money. And President Trump one time talked to him for like 3 hours, and they talked about golf and their families, so he won me over. But let me just say, you know how people have special interests? You know, my special interest is the history of every world civilization. So it's hard to tell that I have a special interest. You know how some people, you know, when you're younger, you see like a big construction vehicle, and then that, you like really like those. So every time you see like a giant, you know, like backhoe or other type of construction vehicle I don't know much about, like a front loader, you look at it and you're just in awe because you'll love that. Now, President Trump's affinity for buildings is similar. And I don't mean in an architectural way. I mean, he just really likes buildings. What they look like, what they're made of, how to make them, how to sell them, like property. He just that's his special interest. So if you say the word building or construction materials or like rebar, he's just going to go on a rant about buildings. It's his special interest. I'm being very gentle about this.
Gave you a minimal structure to hold up the existing, not a structure to hold up another 10 stories of building. But the fact that the building wasn't even balanced, it's amazing that it didn't come down.
Well, was the MOU that your negotiators brought back, was that a side saddle MOU? Was that built to fall apart?
It was built to test. It was a test. We didn't know. It didn't. Look, memorandum of understanding when you're dealing with sleazebags don't mean much. And they don't mean much when you're dealing with honorable people, too, because it's a memorandum of understanding. It doesn't mean much. And I said, why are we even, you know, it's a standard tactic in the U.S. that you go to a memorandum of understanding and then you go to the deal. I said, just go to the deal first. But you know what? It was sort of a test. And they weren't there. They didn't honor the test. We had it. We had this deal settled numerous times. I said, watch. I guarantee, watch. And they never followed it.
A bunch of Israeli journalists are saying that you've undercut Bibi. You've thrown him under the bus. Have you?
No, not at all. No, I get along with him very well. Sometimes I disagree with him, and I let it be known, and I've been right. But no, I think he's good. Look, he's a wartime prime minister. He's done a good job. If I wasn't around, or if Bibi wasn't around, especially the combination, Israel would not exist today. We wouldn't have hit him with the B-2 bombers. You know, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Had I not hit them with a nuclear, within 2 to 4 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
Wait a minute. I want to analyze this. People lost their mind about this sentence, this one sentence last night. Hold on. What did he say exactly?
With the B-2 bombers, good job. If I wasn't around, or if Bibi wasn't around, especially the combination, Israel would not exist today. We wouldn't have hit them with the B-2 bombers. You know, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Had I not hit them with a nuclear, within 2 to 4 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
Okay, did you hear what he just said? We hit them with the B-2 bombers. Okay, let's listen to the exact phrasing.
Hit them with the B-2 bombers combination, Israel would not exist today. We wouldn't have hit them with the B-2 bombers. You know, they were going to...
So he's saying he's basically saying we hit them with the B-2 bombers.
Have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Had I not hit them with a nuclear, within 2 to 4 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
Okay, so here's why I'm actually worried about this. He slips sometimes, and he really does. Now, people were like, there was this fierce debate last night about whether he just slipped there and said we used a tactical nuclear weapon. Now, normally I'd be like, no, it's Mr. President just speaks in truncated phrases sometimes. You have to just understand his lexicon. No, I listened to that full context there. He was using the word with. Well, I gotta sneeze 1 second. Maybe I don't. I think I do. I guess not. That's annoying when you have to sneeze and you can't sneeze. President Trump was using, right in the sentence before that, the word with, although in a double negative, to talk about hitting Iran with B-2 bombers. So he's using with there to refer to a bomb, like hitting something. Then he uses a different clause saying Iran would have had nuclear weapons within 2 to 4 weeks if I didn't hit him with the nuclear. Excuse me? Do you know what that means? Do you understand why it's possible that that's actually a thing? Okay? Why it's possible? Let me explain. If you know anything about, and we've talked about it on this stream, about bunker buster bombs, that's a colloquial term for an ordnance that penetrates into rock. Okay? Most bombs, well, bombs do lots of different things. I'm not an ordnance expert, but I know a little bit about bunker buster bombs because I had to understand what we were trying to accomplish when hitting hardened Iranian missile storage facilities and nuclear enrichment facilities. Okay? Now, what a bunker buster bomb does, it's the biggest non-nuclear bomb in the United States Army, one of them. It's called the Moab, the mother of all bombs. It's about 30,000 kilotons. I don't know. It's very big. That's probably too much. It's very large, though. It's a very kilotons. It's a very big bomb. It's so big that when you drop it, like a cargo plane will like lift up in the air once you release that bomb off the plane. Okay, this bomb, when it hits the Earth, it does create an explosion above the Earth, but its main purpose is to send shock waves under the Earth to collapse tunnels and caves and structures. It was originally built to use against the Taliban in Afghanistan, to like compress their caves structure. Okay, here's the problem though. Bunker buster bombs, all conventional non-nuclear ordinances that are bunker busters, at their maximum efficiency, can penetrate about 90 meters into soft rock. And remember, the Earth has different types of minerals, so you can have soft rock, you can have concrete, you can have hard rock. Okay, we're going like granite. That's the hardest type of rock on the Earth. If you use a bunker buster on soft Earth, it's going to go about 90 meters into the Earth. 60 to 90 at most. If you use a bunker buster on medium rock, I don't know off the top of my head a type of medium like rock, sedimentary rock, but something that's not granite, it might go 20 to 40 meters into the rock, the sediment. If you use a bunker buster on granite, it will go 10 meters into the granite at most, because bunker busters are not designed to penetrate granite rock. It's very rare, by the way, to have a granite mountain. There is one in Iran, and what do you think they put under it? Their most important facility. There's more than one granite mountain. But what do you think they put under the granite mountains? The most important stuff. Do you know what you can use to destroy granite? Tactical nuclear battlefield weapons. In fact, that's the only thing that you could use to destroy a hardened underground structure protected by 30 meters or more of granite. That's the only way you could do it. So the reason his slip there might be actually real is we might have deployed, and we wouldn't have let any of this, I imagine, get into the atmosphere, I pray, but we might have deployed low-yield tactical battlefield nuclear weapons specifically for the purpose of eliminating granite-protected underground missile and nuclear facilities. And it's a very real possibility. I know, Silent Dogs, I don't think it did, and I agree with Neo Mortal Girl, they wouldn't tell us if it did. But his slip of the tongue there is not like a regular Trump mannerism, like a shortened phrase. That was a Freudian slip, and I think we might have done it. And you think anyone would admit to it? No way. Please, how long did it take the Soviet Union to admit to Chernobyl? And there was open radiation flowing over Europe. So, think about it, Silent Dogs. You could fire bunker busters into granite, create a 10 meter, which is 30 feet, hole, and then theoretically keep pummeling that hole, drilling into the mountain with the bunker busters, and then you could, once you've sufficiently created a deep hole, put a low-yield tactical nuke in there. No one would ever know. I wonder if that's what we did in Afsfahan on the last night before the ceasefire. You could do it. It's not unreasonable. If this happened on the night I thought it did, I have receipts for calling that a nuke did in fact happen. I will wear this pride forever. Towel Girlfriend, you're 100% right. Towel Girlfriend is a genius. I love her dearly. Hello, Towel Girlfriend. I remember that night. I was just talking about Asfahan. I think we did use low-yield tactical battlefield nuclear weapons underground. You must understand. Something happened in the 70s and 80s. The last ever above-ground nuclear test was, I think, China in 82 or 92. We don't do above-ground nuclear testing. Do you know why? Do you know what happens when you send a radio signal into space? Or a TV signal? Have you ever thought about that? Think about it. There's been some of you who have read the literature, the scientific literature will know we do this. But what happens when you send a radio signal out into space? It goes forever. I'm serious. You can send a radio signal into deep space that will go forever. What do you think happens when you set off an atmospheric nuclear detonation? Do you understand what you send into the outer space? You send beta and gamma rays that perpetuate indefinitely in space, in all sorts of directions. Do you think maybe, speaking broadly, that would cause some problems? You think maybe we pissed some you think maybe we pissed some redacteds off because they were like, what are you doing? Like, stop right now. Like, you're impacting, like, deep space. Like, stop. So, in America, after, I'd say, like, the 60s, after Bikini Atoll, do you know why the Bikini is called the Bikini, by the way? Have you ever thought about that? See, two-piece swimwear did not exist before the bikini. I bet you never really thought about this. Probably think it's some, like, quaint, like, Hawaiian beach. No. two-piece bikinis did not exist before the bikini was invented. You wore a one-piece swimsuit. When America was testing its nuclear weapons after World War II in the 50s, they used the Nevada test site. That's true. But you know what else they used? First of all, we forced the residents off Bikini Atoll. There's footage of like the U.S. Army like trying to talk to them and be like, "We got to take you away from your home now." We dropped nuclear weapons on Bikini Atoll. We took the natives. We kidnapped them. They had no idea what the hell was going on. Bunch of U.S. Army guys with weapons show up on Bikini Atoll with a translator, and they talk to the king. He was like the tribal chief of Bikini Atoll, and they're like, "Sir, we're going to bomb your island. We'd like to take you away so you don't die." And the chief is like crying, telling his people like, "Yeah, we have to go. I'm sorry, like we have to go." And there's a U.S. Army propaganda film of these soldiers like smiling, being like, "Okay, it's time to leave now." They take the population of Bikini Atoll and move them, I don't know to where, some other island. And then they drop, I think, hydrogen bombs, I'm pretty sure, which if you don't know the difference between a plutonium or uranium-based bomb and a hydrogen bomb, dude, it's like orders of magnitude more serious to drop a hydrogen bomb. The smallest hydrogen bomb is bigger than almost every uranium-based or plutonium, if that's even a bomb-based isotope anymore. But it's bigger than any of the other type of bomb. A hydrogen bomb is a bomb that's so dangerous, it shouldn't exist. You must understand. You've never seen you've probably seen a hydrogen bomb test, but you've never heard of a hydrogen bomb being fired, because I don't think they even existed when we bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Okay, getting back to the story. So America puts like 100 ships, maybe like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away from Bikini Atoll. They want to test what's going to happen to the ocean. Okay, bombing an island, the island's going to go away. But they wanted to test what was going to happen to the ocean if they dropped a hydrogen bomb on an island. So they put empty ships, like 5 miles from the explosion, 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles. They set the explosion off, and they filmed it. And it caused so much damage. I don't know the ship that was the farthest away, probably 50, 100 miles, I don't know. It caused so much damage that when this French designer, you know exactly where this is going, don't you? Some of you. When a French designer read about it in the Paris papers the next day, he was busy working on the two-piece bikini. He didn't have a name for it. And being the cheeky French man that he was, he said to himself, "I bet this design of my two-piece swimwear is going to have the same effect on men that bomb had on that island." And thus, ladies and gentlemen, the bikini was born. So every time you're out there wearing a bikini, think to yourself, wow, Bikini Atoll. You'll never be want for... See, I heard it said once by Terence McKenna, summarizing Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, that you'll never be want for discussion of a topic at a New York high society fashion party if you understand the Wake and Ulysses. Well, there's a new sentence in town. You'll never be want for discussion at a New York high society fashion party if you listen to Towel. You can just spit things out at people. They'll be absolutely blown away. And then you can be like, take that, you damn aristocrats. Who you think you're all so smart? Harvard ain't got nothing on Towel News. I could walk into Harvard and debate the best of them.
And once they had a nuclear weapon...
In fact, I have.
And you wouldn't even have Israel around. No, Bibi's good.
Is there anyone in Israel better than him to do the job? Is there anyone better than Bibi?
Well, I don't know most of them. I know some of them, obviously, but I don't know most of them. But I think that Bibi and I have had a very good... If we weren't working together, if I had a weak
Oh, Clumsy Clairvoyant, Classic Clippy and Clumsy Clairvoyant, you're both wonderful. Classic Clippy, to respond to your statement there about Ulysses, listen, I heard it said once that, B.B. Egan started a membership parade. I'm going to say it out loud, then I'm going to say the thing about comedy and Ulysses in the Wake. If your name is Neo Mortal Girl, this is wonderful. If your name is Neo Mortal Girl or Neo-Modern Christianity or Delta November 207 or Bridget or French Toasty, B.B. Egan, the one and only, has just gifted you something very special. Neo Mortal Girl, you're going to be thrilled. You now have access to sheep-based emojis, Chloe the dog in a wig, Bunny Towel Mom's dog Kofi, an emoji of a sheep. I really like the sheep. Boozy Beauty, who's the 400-foot-tall baguette-based Queen of France. You also have Primo's dog, who's a dog. Then you have penguins. Towel Chat Mom Lynn really loves penguins. And then you have towels. And then you have Bunny Towel Mom's favorite emoji, which is that's it. We also have a new emoji today. Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. I just uploaded it. Is it this one? No, that's not it. Hold on. Which one is it? I uploaded a special one for our friend. Wait a minute. It's supposed to be this one. I thought I uploaded it. I updated the emojis to have pancakes, and I can't find my pancake emoji. I don't know why it didn't work. I'm sad. I'll work on it another time. But the point is, I made a pancake emoji. It was great. I want to make sure it works. Our friend, That One Oracle from LA, wants a pancake emoji. But let me get back to the story. God bless you, B.B. Egan. Thank you for your support of Towel Channel. You're wonderful. So, in terms of the Wake and Ulysses, I heard it said once about comedy that humor exists between what someone is thinking and what they're saying. It exists in that sort of non-temporal purgatory, that space. I exist, by comparison, somewhere between Ulysses, which was the day book, and The Wake, which is Joyce's night book, or the other way around. The Wake, which is the day book, or Ulysses, which is the night book. Which is to say, I take the Hegelian form and Gambiero Vico's theory of cursi e recursi very seriously. And the tension between form and content in history means a lot to me. So I like to study both and understand them and explain them. But unlike The Wake, which operates like a commodious vicus of recirculation and likes to thread things very neatly through historical analogy by comparison to the modern age, listening to me is like that, very structured. And a lot of people who read The Wake will be like, Grant, The Wake is not structured. What are you talking about? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Don't get me started. The point is, much like The Wake, I do think that way, but the way I speak is closer to Ulysses. And the way that Ulysses is written is you kind of got to have an appendix to read it. It's like as if someone spent all of their time reading random instrument manuals for scientific instruments, or studying ballistic missiles, or covering obscure Arabic language newspaper reports, or reading the obituaries in the Parisian newspapers just for sport, and then knows everything about the history of art and philosophy and literature and sociology and epistemology and religion and mythos and the secret, what were they called, the mystery schools. All of that comes together, and words, single English words, it was written by an Irishman, but they're English words, single English words represent complex, multi-layered allusions to everything that I just mentioned. It might be a reference to a light bulb's manual for a shop that was only around for 12 years in 1840. And you're supposed to understand from that, oh yes, he's clearly making a reference to the fact that those light bulbs were used in the factory to create, this weapon, and therefore this is an ideological commentary on the Franco-Prussian War. That's how Ulysses is written. I exist in the space, by analogy, between Ulysses and The Wake. I like to explain things with a structured form, but when I get going and I have something to say, you're just hearing what I'm thinking. Yes, it is fluid. Yes, there's a wide and varying syntactical predisposition. My lexicon certainly has a range to it. And yes, it does have a structure. There are references. It is cited. There are primary sources. There's cohesion to the presentation of the ideological narrative, which every person has a narrative, even though facts are involved. But notwithstanding that, when I actually get lecturing, I'm much more akin to reading Ulysses, and I expect you to know every single source that I'm referencing. And if you don't, I'm not demanding it, but it's kind of like reading Great Expectations for the second time. You'll get way more out of it if you go back through, or if you're listening actively for references. When I'm speaking, I'm intentionally dropping literary, historical, cultural, sociological, philosophical, whatever it may be, references, pop culture, into the commentary, but not directly. I'm doing it by analogy and using like quotes from them, or using like a character's name as a pun, or referencing a historical figure, or I'm doing it intentionally, rewarding you for active listening. And then also, I like to think of this vocation as like art. It's an art form to convey information authentically, and it should reward someone who comes to it, to the art, with a deep understanding. If you look at a painting about like the Dutch like 16th century and don't understand what was happening in Amsterdam in the 15 and 1600s, you're not going to appreciate the painting. You might be able to look at the colors of it, but you in the sort of the detail, but you're not going to understand what the artist was thinking about. I do active reconstructive hermeneutics, so I like to get inside the mind, as I talked about earlier, of the people that I'm analyzing. And in that way, I like to reward you for being informed. I'd like not only to engender the cogency of your discourse and understanding, I like to reward you for active listening by peppering my commentary with analytical references that are designed to make a point, but also reward you for knowing what the reference is. And I never explain them. They're not meant to be explained. They're illusions. Hello, that one Oracle. You're so wonderful. Yes, this will all be on the final. That's why T.A. Zara is so wonderful, because, oh, you're so wonderful, that one Oracle. Oh, yes, I did. The pancake emoji worked. It's there. It just didn't load up for me yet. It's there. I'm so thrilled. I made that one Oracle a pancake emoji, and it loaded up. I must just have to reload mine, because it takes a few minutes to load up. But it's done. I'm thrilled. We have the pancake emoji has arrived. That one Oracle is in heaven. That was a nice lecture break, Nishigama. I know you always enjoy those. But anyway, yeah. I think, like, if you go back and listen, or if you actively listen and you think to yourself, like, is he doing this on purpose, the references? Yes. It will become a lot easier to see what I'm doing if you think, like, wait, did he just say that? Like, am I thinking about this other work, like, or this movie, or this whatever it may be, like, event in history? Like, is he calling my attention to that to make this point? Yes, and it happens really fast. I understand. I don't have time to stop and analyze every time I do it, but if you catch it, most of the time it's on purpose.
Person, a president or prime minister over in Israel. You know, you have a president there too.
Right.
If we had somebody weak over there, Israel would not exist today.
Oh, a train emoji. I can make a train emoji. That's next on the list.
Hamas is still standing.
Hi, Marley. So good to see you.
So is Hezbollah. Should Bibi order...
Oh, Bibi Egan is so kind and said if anyone would like to contribute for towards Towel Lunch today when I go into Boston afternoon, the donation links are in the chat. Hashtag Feed Towel. God bless all of you for supporting me yesterday. I was able to get to Dedham and get back up to Boston. Today is going to be a little bit more adventurous. I'm going downtown. It's going to be like 100 degrees. I haven't eaten. It's okay. We'll figure it out. There's a Cash App, money sign Grant Smith Ellis. This is Venmo at Grant-E1. This PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. Find those links in the chat. I must be really in the zone today. The energy in the world must be really heightened. I don't oftentimes have the ability to speak this fluently and eloquently. We're at 300 words per minute. Towel. Listen, water under the fridge must be having a great day. He's probably not even watching, but he's like, I can tell Towel's in the zone. It's true. Hashtag flow state.
Order that those be done away with. Just finish the job in Gaza and in Lebanon.
Well, a lot of progress was made with Hamas, and they are disarming. That doesn't mean they're going to, but a lot of progress was made. And don't forget, I got all the hostages back, and Hamas did a lot of that work. People are amazed, but we had 28 dead people, children, because they call them children, the moms and dads. And it shouldn't amaze me, but.
Hello, Doughboy Daddy. Yes, I'll be doing the Turtle Boy Karen Reed hearing either at 10 or when it ends, depending on if Judge Gilday allows a court camera in the courtroom that will stream it live. If he doesn't, I'll record the Zoom. He never allows the Zoom to be done live. Let me just make a note to my colleagues. Don't broadcast that Zoom live. If the only option we have is a Zoom, not an in-court camera, please, colleagues, do not broadcast that Zoom live. He's a stickler. He's going to ban us from being able to even broadcast it after it ends. Don't broadcast it live. Now, if someone who's like subversive is broadcasting it live, they're going to get the person they're supporting in trouble. So if like you're trying to get the hearings not covered because you represent a party that wants it like censored and you do it, you're just going to get punished by the hearings being covered more. So, but if you cover it because you don't want to adhere to Judge Gilday's order and you do it live and we don't have a camera in the courtroom, he will find it, he will get made. And you don't want it. You think I'm ornery when I'm made? He's a judge and he gets made. He gets really made. So, what we'll do is at about 9:30 or so, this coverage will end. 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Then there'll be a short break. Then, depending on whether there's live coverage, so if WBZ has a camera, normally they'll send a cameraman to Plymouth in the courtroom. I'll talk to the pool. I'll figure out what's going on. I will take that live. Then I'll comment on it. But then I got to stop. After I'll analyze the hearing. I'll tell you about it. I won't comment live. I'll analyze it after it ends, but I'll watch it with you live. Then I got to go downtown. I have I don't know, maybe an hour or two to get there. I need to be there with enough advance notice to see what's going on. I got to kind of get the vibe. Then I got, one time I was there and people were yelling, pro Karen Reed things out the windows. The people in the Seaport were just yelling out the window. Oh, thank you for that, Star Marley. I love those jewels. They give me a lot of energy. So I got to get there early. I might have a little coffee, sit on a bench, be a towel. So then I got to have a sandwich. I got to eat. And then I got to just sit around. Then I got to film people. They're going to end up inevitably, in a big crowd. I bet the news will be there. Well, all the news is going to be there. And then, I'll just film. I don't have any questions today. I just want to see what happens. I just want to be where the action is. Hashtag Towel News where the action is. All right. And then I want to see what happens after the hearing. Because if it's really intense and one side looks like they're going to lose or win, then the other side's going to get all mad. And they're going to walk out of the court. They'll be all pouty faced. The other side's going to be all happy. So one side will give this wonderful victory speech. Maybe the other side will not give a victory speech, but they'll just be all pouty. We'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating. I think they're all going to be there. I tried to tell Channel 5 yesterday. I was like, listen, you got to go to federal court. I don't know if they listen to me, but you got to go. I have a towel intuition about today. It's going to be interesting. If I were the parties, I would show up. You know what I'm saying? Chief Judge Casper, she's attentive to detail. You don't show up for a hearing that she thinks is important, and you asked her for it, oh, she's going to be mad. And remember, the federal court hearing is Ham, Higgins, Albert, McCabe, asking for dismissal of the lawsuit filed by Karen. So they got to show up. I wonder if Proctor's going to be there. Is Tully going to be there? Is Buchanan going to be there? I bet Yuri Buchanan's still on a cruise. I'm going to ask him if he likes Jimmy Buffett. Oh, God bless you, Marley. Don't you worry at all. Super Chats help the channel a lot. Marley says, sorry, don't know how to use PayPal. God bless you. You are so wonderful. Water Under the Fridge is going to be thrilled. Marley, if you've never met Water Under the Fridge, he is the defender of the Great Lakes. He protects the Iranians from rolling ships over Canadian territory and invading the Great Lakes. It's a long story, no time to explain. The point, though, is that Water Under the Fridge is very grateful because he does a lot of super chats, and he's going to thank you, I'm sure. God bless you. And I also love British pounds. On a related note, seeing as I have a lot of energy today, apparently, even though I was very tired going to bed last night, I did sleep for about 10 hours. Did you know that I spent time in England? I lived in Bath, behind the Royal Crescent. Then I spent some time at UNIV in Oxford. Then I went to London for a little bit. It's a very nice country. I like it. I like to rub it in the faces of the aristocratic people, though. I would go out to Bath, and they wanted me to work for the government, and I didn't want to work for the UK government. Why would I want to work for the UK government? They're not my government. I'm not going to do parliamentary work for the UK government. Why would you want me to do that? That's odd. Anyway, my professors were from Sandhurst, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't what it looked like. I don't know. I'm not into that kind of stuff, okay? I oversee the government. I'm not trying to work for the parliament. So anyway, I was in the UK in a very interesting sort of program, and they wanted me to do all sorts of things, but I just wanted to kind of do my classes and experience England in my own way. Well, little towel, that's how I learned about the Big Issue, because I would go down to the center of Bath and I would just talk to the people who sold the Big Issue, and then we would hang out. That's how I found myself in the most interesting experience of my life, actually. In about 2009, I was seated at an amphitheater, an abandoned amphitheater at the base of the Royal Crescent. And I was sitting there with my friend who sold the Big Issue. Now, he was British. And we were just talking. I forget what we were doing. I think his mom was in the hospital or something. So, he needed my help with something. And I had, moved. We went to the bar. We had a beer. I helped him. And then we were just sitting there. I think he was smoking a cigar. I was smoking a cigarette or whatever it was. And we were just talking. Okay? It was like a nice night in the fall. He was a nice man. His mom was very sick, though. And his mom lived right around the corner. It's very weird. In Bath, you have a lot of wealth and then council estates just kind of tucked in. So anyway, we're sitting there and this man from the Czech Republic comes up to me and my friend. And my friend's name is Paul. And he starts engaging us in a discussion. Now, I think Paul had a bottle of wine or something, and I don't know if I drank or not at the time, but I did not drink wine. So Paul offered this guy some wine, and they're just sitting there drinking in this amphitheater, looking up at the Royal Crescent where Nicolas Cage lived. And I'm sitting there with my cigar, just kind of smoking and thinking. Well, the man from the Czech Republic, I don't know why he decided to do this, but he takes out something that wasn't wine, okay, and starts doing that in the middle of this amphitheater. And I'm like, okay, it's a free, well, I don't know if England's a free country, but it's your right to do that, bro. I don't want any. So anyway, he's doing his thing. Paul's drinking wine. I'm smoking. These two, Paul and this man from Czech Republic, get into an argument over whether it's more appropriate to call someone from the Czech Republic Czechoslovakian or to call them someone from the Czech Republic. And they were debating the very fine points of the fall of Tito's Yugoslavia, the emergence of Kosovo, and whether it was appropriate to call people from those countries Yugoslavian, and then by comparison, whether this man was Czechoslovakian or from the Czech Republic. Now listen, this is a perfect example. That's why I don't like the aristocracy. They think they're all refined and they make all the decisions. You can have a more interesting conversation about the intricate details of the fall of Tito's Yugoslavia and the Prague Spring with two guys, both of whom were unhoused, living in Bath, England, than you can with these damn hoity-toity, faux intellectual aristocrats who outsource everything because they think money is equivalent to knowledge. Not happening. So anyway, that was Towel. That's what happens when you send me around the world. I inevitably will end up sitting at an abandoned amphitheater at the base of the Royal Crescent discussing the fall of Yugoslavia and the Prague Spring while smoking a cigar with two unhoused people who are very, very smart.
But the people that had a dead son and they knew the son was dead, they wanted that boy back just as much or even more as the people that were trying to get their sons out who were living. It was amazing. And we got all 28 back, every single one of them, and everyone's amazed. And we got Hamas to do much of that work.
So let me ask you about the Iranian people. You said help was on the way and you sent it. 40,000 of them got massacred before your help could get there. Is it time for them to go back into the streets?
Well, you can't do that because they don't have guns and the other side has guns. The number is 52,000 people killed so far.
Wow.
And these are thugs. It's very hard for people to go back. They can have great bravado. They can hate the regime. They can do everything. But when you start seeing 4 or 5 of them, and let's say they form 100, 200,000 people, and they see one go down with a bullet between the eyes, and then they see another one go down with a bullet between the eyes, and then they see a third. Like with the women, they had 300,000 women. All of a sudden, 1 goes down, 2 goes down, 3, 4, 5. And you know what happens, They say, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's very scary. So
let me switch to domestic
I
politics.
would say this. I think people were wrong. I never thought, unless they could be completely armed, I never thought they'd have that kind of an uprising because these people are violent. The so-called leadership is very violent.
They're killers.
They killed 52,000. How about the wrestler? The wrestler is one of the best wrestlers in the world. They killed him and his 2 friends just because he spoke not even that badly about the regime.
They're crazy. Keep killing them because they're going to kill their people until you do. Domestic politics, Mr. President. You run, or at least the RNC listens to you very closely, 2028. Do you think there ought to be one?
Listen.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did he just... Okay, first of all, this is like a news program. Did that man just tell the president to go slaughter Iranians? The White House posted this.
Yeah. Do you think there ought to be one, many, or a lot of debates? And would you moderate one or more of those debates?
I'd sort of like to do that. Nobody gave me that one. You always have a unique way. I'd love to do it. I'm sure the Democrats would be thrilled, but I would certainly moderate. You're talking the debate between a Republican and a Democrat?
Oh, yeah, because the numbers would go through the ceiling. We'd get 100 million people, and you'd ask them about Iran.
Yeah, I get good numbers. No, I like the idea about I would absolutely do it. Now find a Democrat that's going to do it. I always complained when that loser from ABC did the debate, and he was so biased. And it was him and an unknown woman, but who was a radical left person. And I said, well, wait a minute, this is 2.5 against 1. They said, who's the half? I said, Kamala is the half. I got 2 people plus a half against me. No, I would love to do something like that. I can't imagine they do it, but if they would do it, I would do it.
Oh, you'd get the Vice President, Marco Rubio. You'd get Senator Cruz. You'd be a great moderator. I really urge you to do that.
Okay.
Now, if the Democrats win the House, they're going to impeach you. And I don't care what the argument is. They're just going to find a way to impeach you. J.D. Vance could represent you, and he can be in the Senate doing the same thing. Have you thought about that? He's a good lawyer.
Well, I don't like to think about it too much because I think we're going to do well. In fact, a man just walked into my office, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who's great.
Great speaker.
He's doing a great job. Don't forget, we have a majority of 2, 3. If we hit 4, we don't know what to do. We have so many. And we've gotten all this stuff done. We got the great, big, beautiful bill done. And, I'll tell you just a fast story. Yesterday, we had a lot of people. They're building a heliport because for years they should have had it built at the White House. They're landing in the mud all the time. And so we're building a little heliport, not that little actually, but a heliport. And they were working on Sunday. And I went out to see the men. I said, remember this, no tax on overtime, okay? Think of it. They're working on a Sunday, no tax. And they all cheered. I said, who voted against Trump? They said, nobody. So,
I got 3 suggestions for you. Number 1, there was an essay in the Washington Post, make American the official language of America, not English. I think you ought to look at that because it's a good idea.
All right.
Number 2.
Oh, my God. Sir. We have exceptional fast food and exceptional dance moves. I understand. Listen, I love America so much. You don't understand. Maybe, we're not in the best place right now, okay? We have great values, okay? We do. But I just want to explain to you something about how words work, okay? We speak English. There are other languages in America too, but we speak English. I don't know what American would be. I mean, if we're going to do that, let's take this seriously. I want to represent the Boston contingent at the Constitutional Convention, where we establish American as the national language of the United States. Now listen, as the representative of the Boston contingent, here are some things that we are going to be including in this reform to our language, okay? Number one, the word, I don't even know how you all say this, kid. The word kid is ked, okay? We are you cannot, I don't understand this concept. Kid, what the hell are you talking about? Ked, K-E-H-D, okay? If you really want to push it, K-H-E-D, I prefer ked, all right? To begin, that's the foundation of our reforms, okay? The word ked. Now, car is a tough one. Like, I have a car. No, that sounds terrible. It's got to be car, all right? We need to get rid of most words that end in R. It's not going to work, okay? If we're going to have an American language, all the words that end in R got to go. They're done, gone, all right? I don't know what the hell that college is in Cambridge, all right? We can't, there's too many R's in that word. Harvard, all right? That's fine. Harvard, all right? Now, the other thing we got to work on is when we describe a place, okay? When we're going somewhere, okay, we don't say we're going to X city. No, listen. If the city is or place is north of Boston, you're going up there, okay? If the city or place is south of Boston, you're going down there. If the city or place is outside of 128, God help you, I don't even know what the hell you people do out there, you're going out there, okay? Now, if you're outside of 128, fighting the dragons or whatever the hell you people do out there, and you want to go to Boston, you're going in there, okay? Likewise, if you're on Cape Cod and you're going to Boston, you're going up there, all right? Everyone understand? So, to begin, everything is based, your travel is, even if you're below Boston, you're generally going to say you're going down there if the place is south of Boston, and you're going up there if the place is north of Boston, regardless of where you are. All right? Everybody understand? And it's not this, it's called the pike. All right? You go on the pike. That is the word we're going to start using for, well, we can't use it for every highway, because then what are you going to do with the highways that aren't the pike? All right, so we're going to introduce the word pike into the lexicon. It does not mean a spiked instrument. It's a highway that runs from Boston to somewhere outside of 128. I don't know much about, what goes on out there. I heard it's a little dangerous. Dragons fly around, various monsters, giant orcs. I don't know what the hell goes on in Worcester and Springfield. None of it is pleasant. Well, I suppose there's some redeeming qualities, but the point is, I'm not going out there. So anyway, that's what's going to be the basis of our reform of the English language. If this man is serious, I'm going to represent the Boston contingent at the Constitutional Convention, and America is going to speak proper Boston English, or American, excuse me, not this Boston Brahmin nonsense. Those people don't even exist anymore as far as I'm concerned. Who the hell are the Cabots and the Lodges? Okay, I don't care about your damn hoity-toity clubs. Do you know how boring it is to sit in a club and drink tea at 11 in the morning on a Tuesday? What is wrong with some of you? Have some class and dignity, spend some time reading. Anyway, if we're going to do this, we're doing it on the basis of my version of Boston American, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right? We're doing this. All of America will speak like Massachusetts. It's going to be great.
The Ruthless Podcast gets more people than any other podcast. You ought to have them to the White House and do the Ruthless Podcast. Do you know them? Carolyn Levitt did it.
The Ruthless Podcast. I did hear of it. I mean, I'm not afraid to do any of these things.
Oh, they're the best, and they're pretty rollicking.
Then
Carolyn will tell you about it.
Okay with me.
And then finally, we've got an AM radio.
Oh wait, I forgot. Fluff is now the official national What the hell? Marshmallow? Well, no. Fluffer. Okay, listen. Peanut butter and jelly, out. Forget it. It's not a thing. Peanut butter and fluff. Okay? Fluff is now the official American condiment. Can you really consider fluff a condiment? I don't really know what fluff is. It's kind of a gelatinous marshmallow-like substance. Okay? I've decided that this is going to be... Oh, I got it. This is our national food. You all are required to keep 5 jars of Fluffernutter. Now, if you don't know what that is, you're already behind the curve. All of you, if we're adopting Boston English, Boston American is the national language, all of you need 5 jars of Fluffernutter in your cabinet at all times. Don't ask questions, just go obtain this. It's kind of like marshmallow spread. It's in a glass jar. Put it in your cabinet. Have it on reserve at all times. You can't eat jelly anymore.
Law up on the Hill. And you've got Speaker Johnson there. I think Steve Scalise doesn't like the bill. Maybe you can break the speaker arm a little bit to get...
No, I like the idea. Look, AM is the home of Rush, you know, the famous
You bet.
Rush. Remember when he used to go Barack Hussein and he'd scream the word Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama? No, a lot of our people are on AM radio. The answer is I'm very much onto it. We're pushing it hard. Mr. Speaker, could you just say hello? This is Hugh Hewitt.
I love Hugh Hewitt, and Hugh, I used to be a broadcaster on AM radio, so I'm with
Whoa.
you.
Oh, well, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Get in there and get Mr. Scalise to go with you and get that thing to the floor, because we...
Listen. Imagine if I got to be interviewed by this man, Hugh Hewitt, and I was the president, and he was like, so, Mr. President, you have made some very interesting decisions regarding your modern Towel Monroe doctrine in Latin America. Can you tell me a little bit more about your conquest of the country of Chile? And I'd be like, before we get there, I think we need to talk about making Fluffernutter the national American food. You know, they say, ladies and gentlemen, that America has had some great foods. We created the hamburger. Well, I'm pretty sure we invented the steak. If we didn't invent it, we made it better. But listen, if Fluffernutter is not the national American food, then our buildings will not have integrity. They will collapse at the first sign of an earthquake. So therefore, I think it's very important that every American be provided with a ration via the government, which will be provided by lowering taxes somehow. Don't ask too many questions. Of 5 jars of Fluffernutter per year. And they're going to have American flags on them, and my picture, and a towel. And the Iranians will then recognize what they're up against. All right, just how great would that be? The man would have no idea what the fuck is going on. It would be great. Oh, and then I would be like, and by the way, you may hear from some of these damn Democrats, okay? Democrats or whatever they call them these days. I don't keep up with the kids. You know, I may be highly ranked on social media, but I don't know what the hell a Democrat is. But these liberals might tell you that Fluffernutter is bad for your heart or whatever crazy thing they invented today, or that, you know, it's somehow going to lead to the collapse of American society, or that it's akin to, you know, tyranny. No. Those liberals are commies. They're backed by Russia. The Soviet Union is going to reemerge, and the Soviet Union is threatened by an uptick in American Fluffernutter production. All right? Don't let the commies win. Buy Fluffernutter today. Oh, I'm going to be great at that. It's good. Do you understand how fun it would be? Just look Caitlin Collins from CNN right in the eye and tell her I have a plan to boost American economic production domestically by getting people to eat more Fluffernutter. What would you seriously, after that interview, I'm not being sardonic at all, by the way, after that interview, what would you rather listen to? Mr. President and all the things he said, or me trolling that toast about Fluffernutter? I would be great. It would be so hilarious.
We need it to keep...
Well, I think we can handle Steve. I really do. He's actually a very good guy. Will you please work on that?
He's a great guy. We'll be working.
Oh, I didn't know that we're having a problem. I know we're back into...
No, if he were a good host, I'd want the follow-up question to be... Mr. President, I'm fully on board with you about the Fluffernutter, but can you please tell me how it... how Fluffernutter impacts the integrity of buildings. Oh, I have to have an answer ready for that. And then I would probably say something along the lines of, well, Hugh, you might have misunderstood me there a little bit. What I was saying is, by having a more robust industrial base based on Fluffernutter, our buildings will be built of stronger material because people won't have to, water down the concrete or rebar or whatever they use to build buildings. That's not my thing. And then he'd be like, that's not what you said at all. And I'd be like, yeah, I was thinking at the time we could use the Fluffernutter to reinforce the buildings, but then I realized that was not a good idea.
100%. Nothing's going to happen to AM radio that's bad, okay?
All right, I'm looking forward to your speech Thursday night. You want to give us a preview?
It's just going to be a speech like a lot of my speeches. I tell you, we got a lot of good reviews between...
Oh, yeah, I'm not covering this live. He's going to do a speech on Thursday to the whole nation about how the Democrats and probably the Cubans, maybe the Venezuelans, I don't know, the Moldovians, the Czechoslovakians, the people from the Czech Republic, some random faction of the French, a few of the commie Chinese, a few people in Russia, somebody in Tanzania, somebody in the bush in Australia, somebody in, Nairobi, Kenya, a few guys in India interfered in the 2020 election to help Joe Biden because they realized that President Trump was a threat to the world order because of his knowledge of buildings and how to make them strong and robust against attacks by the Iranians on our Fluffernutter production. Listen, I can't be compelled to analyze this level of absurdity without turning into some kind of, sardonic, ridiculous host myself. You forced me to do this, Mr. President.
We went out underneath the most beautiful structure you've ever seen, carved into the mountain.
Oh, no, he's back on the beautiful structures. Oh, this is going to be a long week.
You're beautiful. The radical left wants to take it down, right? They want to rip that down. But we did 3 of them, and then we did on July 4th. It was exciting because we had 425,000.
That's it. You know what's coming.
People.
All of you know exactly what's coming.
And there was a little lightning, so some brilliant person said, everybody has to go home. So the place goes from packed to empty. And then I heard about that. And I said, have them come back. We had 150,000 people come back. And I said, I thought I was going to make the speech at 3 a.m. Somebody said, some genius, you said, no, we'll make it in a couple of weeks, sir. I said, are you kidding?
Crazy.
But I ended up making the speech at 11:30, and it was well received, and people loved it. And we had a tremendous crowd. You saw that. And so we do pretty well in that regard, you.
Great speech, Mr. President. Go get Pickaxe Mountain and don't keep the speaker waiting. I appreciate your time, sir.
You know exactly what's coming. Listen, they both earned this. That was the most... Listen, the Iranians think that we are absurd, I promise you. Okay? You know exactly what's coming. He earned this. Mishigama is the one who made me realize this is the only thing that is called for under these circumstances. I'm going to replay part of the interview, and I'm going to bring you back to some of the finest moments of the war. All right? Everyone, please prepare yourself. Try to stay in your chairs. I'm not necessarily convinced that all of you are going to be able to keep a straight face throughout this, but I want you to do your very best, okay? Here we go.
Well, I think we can handle Steve. I do. I really do. He's actually a very good guy. Will you please work on that?
Great guy. We'll do
Oh, I didn't know that we're having a problem. I know we're backing it 100%. Nothing's going to happen to AM radio that's bad, okay?
All right, I'm looking forward to your speech Thursday night. You want to give us a preview?
It's just going to be a speech like a lot of my speeches. I tell you, we got a lot of good reviews between, we went out underneath the most beautiful structure you've ever seen, carved into the mountain. And there's never been such a beautiful, the radical left wants to take it down, right? They want to rip that down. But we did 3 of them, and then we did on July 4th. It was exciting because we had 425,000 people. And there was a little lightning, so some brilliant person said, everybody has to go home. So the place goes from packed to empty. And then I heard about that. And I said, have them come back. We had 150,000 people come back. And I said, I thought I was going to make the speech at 3 a.m. Somebody said, some genius, you said, No, we'll make it in a couple of weeks, sir. I said, are you kidding?
Crazy.
But I ended up making the speech at 11:30, and it was well received, and people loved it, and we had a tremendous crowd. You saw that, and so we do pretty well in that regard. You.
Great speech, Mr. President. Go get Pickaxe Mountain and don't keep the speaker waiting. I appreciate your time, sir.
Okay, and we will do that. We're going to take out Pickaxe Mountain. Tell the Iranians to be ready.
I will.
Let them know we're coming, okay? There's not a damn thing they can do about it. All right. Thanks a lot,
sir.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's hilarious. I know, I'm great. I'm hilarious. Where else can you get the news delivered with yakety sax? That's what you want to wake up to, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let me monitor what's going on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me tell you if anything else has happened. We got a 10 a.m. hearing coming up. Bibi visited the Diamona nuclear reactor today in southern Israel. Hold, please. Russia has struck intensely in the Ukrainian capital, which is burning. I'm not going to show you that footage. Kiev is burning this morning. This is not good. Putin, unlike some of the other people, Ukraine, even Iran, and the U.S., Putin hits civilians and churches. He doesn't care. I'm not even sure he aims. I think he just fires missiles and hopes they land on people. This is Kiev this morning. Hello, Tripoli Bob. Yes. So, Mr. President had an interview last night at about 10 p.m. Eastern. And Mr. President was talking about striking targets that in lay terms can only be hit with tactical battlefield nukes. Then, Mr. President said that he wants the official language of America to be American. So I said, if we're going to do that, we got to make it Boston American. And then I decided our official national food is going to be Fluffernutter. And then I found out that Kiev was being shelled by Russian ballistic missiles, and I got very concerned because it's the daytime. You're caught up now, Triple Bob. You're definitely going to want to be live. And then this stream will be ending very shortly. And then at the top of the hour, we will be covering the Karen Reid hearing. All right, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. Okay, I have a report from Bandar Abbas for you in the Persian. I'm going to show that to you next. I have a report from Bandar Abbas for you in the Persian. The geolocation of this report is lat 27.19285, longe 56.25788. This is Bandar Abbas. This was the Telecommunications Regulatory Authority building overnight. And I'm going to show you it was completely destroyed.
ما همکنون در شهر بندر عباس هستیم. ساختمونی که پشت سر من هدف قرار گرفته شب گذشته توسط دشمن آمریکایی مورد حمله قرار گرفت. ساختمون مربوط به سازمان تنظیم ارتباطات هستش. علاوه بر این ساختمون چند نقطه دیگه در شهر بندر عباس هم هدف قرار گرفته که در ادامه به اونها هم سر خواهیم. الرحمن الرحیم ما همکنون در
Okay, so that was that report in Farsi. Now I'm going to take you to a report from the Bandar Abbas port, and I'm going to have it summarized for you in English, and then we'll watch the video. Go ahead.
Conversation. Translated from French. The Iranian channel SNN TV aired a live report from the port of Bandar Abbas, claiming that daily activities continue in the city despite American strikes carried out over the past nights. According to the channel's correspondent, present on the so-called five-pillar key, Bandar Abbas has been targeted several times by American attacks, without this leading to a halt in local maritime activities. The journalist states that the fishermen have continued their work and that life goes on in the port city despite the bombings.
ما هم اکنون در اسکله پنج پله شهر بندر عباس هستیم. درسته که طی شب گذشته و شب‌های قبلش چندین مرتبه شهر بندر عباس مورد هجوم دشمن آمریکایی قرار گرفت، اما همونطور که می‌بینید قایق‌های ماهیگیری و لنج‌های ماهیگیری فعالیت خودشون رو متوقف نکردن و زندگی در این شهر ادامه داره. ما هم اکنون در اسکله پنج پله شهر بندر عباس هستیم.
Okay, now I'm going to take you to Benjamin Netanyahu's speech revealing he visited the nuclear research, the nuclear weapons facility in the south of Israel.
בקיבוץ ניר עוז, בקיץ שעבר, אמרתי שם במילים ברורות, אנחנו נשקם פי כמה את אזור עוטף עזה שנפגע בטבח הנורא של 7 באוקטובר. וכך אנחנו עושים בפועל, זה לא שאמרתי, אנחנו עושים בעזרת מנהלת התקומה שהוביל ידידנו משה אדרי, שעכשיו נמצא לא רחוק מכאן, ביקרנו אותו שם מייצרים טקסטיל, במפעל הטקסטיל, עושה שם עבודה נהדרת, הוא עשה עבודה נהדרת בחבל תקומה.
Quoting Al-Mayadeen, the wire, the Al-Mayadeen Arabic wire, so this is just my attempt to translate. Quoting Al-Mayadeen, a statement from Iran. This is to Al-Mayadeen, so it's very legitimate. They are Hezbollah's channel along with Al-Mana in Lebanon. So this is coming right from Iran. Statement, quote, following Trump's announcement of ending the Memorandum of Understanding, this is 5 minutes ago, the heads of the 3 authorities are expected to declare their decisive and revolutionary positions on this matter. That's odd, eerie, ambiguous, and ominous. Is it not, my dear towel friends? It seems quite ominous. Breaking, Israeli airstrikes in northern Gaza just now targeted a police post 7 minutes ago, reportedly killing the Hamas police chief for Jabalia and up to 9 others, according to I-24 News and local media sources. That was at 12:40 p.m. local time in Gaza. I will show you footage, not up close of the strike, but I will show you footage of the result of the impact from far away. The footage up close is very bad. I would recommend not viewing it. Here is the strike right now. This is near Beit Lahaina. It's always heartbreaking to hear the voice of a child. To think, ladies and gentlemen, people talk a lot about what's happened to Gaza. Falcon Eye says, oh my, I was rewatching What I Missed. You did an incredible job on explaining a lot of missing info that I wasn't aware of. Going to go back again after your stream is over. God bless you, Falcon Eye. My pleasure. Hello, Kathleen. So one, sorry, I just want to say hi to my towel friends. One, this breaks my heart to hear that child's voice. Two, it makes me think. We hear a lot of reports about Gaza. Until you stare down a cell phone video from within what remains of Gaza and listen to the fact that a child wakes up every day, looks at that, the bombed out remnants of their city, and then more bombs fall, and their reaction is to go, I don't know Arabic, but it's basically like whoosh or boom. They're not scared. They're complete at like 3 years old. That child is completely acclimated to bombs dropping, and that's heartbreaking. And nobody cares except the Iranians and Hezbollah and the Houthis and Iraq a little bit, and I guess the Turkish president, and also Spain, and maybe France a little bit. Germany doesn't care at all. They really should do better. Italy. What are you doing, Italy? Pick up the slack. Oh, the Pope cares. The Pope gets made. But not Italy. Italy, what are you doing? Italy's one of the primary problems enabling what happened in Gaza, and the United States, but primarily Italy, because they blocked the European sanctions packages. Damn Italy. Lots of people in the chat care. God bless all of you. I didn't mean to say nobody cares speaking about people. I was talking about governments. But yes, those of you in the chat are very compassionate, and if you were in charge of governments, I think the world would be a better place. But yes, looking at the cell phone video, this is from 10 minutes ago. This may as well be right now. You may as well be looking out a window at Gaza right now. It's heartbreaking. And if you wonder why the Iranians and Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis and the Blood Guardians, you wonder why when they strike Israel, they're not just striking Israel because of something Israel did to them. They're keeping track of every single thing that happens in Palestine, in Gaza, in the West Bank, and also in South Lebanon. And then they tally it. I promise you, they tally it. And then they unload on them. But it's not imminent. If I thought it were imminent, a retaliatory strike against Israel, I would tell you. You will know if this is going to expand because the Israeli citizens will get a nationwide text saying to stay near their shelters. That's your sign that it's going to happen. But right now, oddly, Israel has been staying out of this. Which, trust me, is odd. Okay, let me check one more. So that was the latest attack. I have to go get some supplies before we begin our next stream. Then we're going to watch a motion to dismiss hearing. Okay? And then I'm going to leave. Then I'm going to federal court. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for being towels. This is not the end of our broadcast day. And this is only a short break while I go prepare for our next hearing. I will be back at the top of the hour with further coverage. I do not know as of right now whether we have live coverage from the court. If we have a pool feed, let me actually just check WBZ's. I know Attorney Melanie Little will be on this too, but let me just check WBZ's feed to tell you if we're going to have a court cam. Christina Rex is normally on this. She's really smart. But if they don't have anything scheduled, she's not there. She was there yesterday, though. No, they don't have anything scheduled, and it's 9:23. So this is either going to be a surprise surprise coverage, or I'm going to be forced to record it and then upload it after it's done. If you get any reports about, so what you'll see is on the WBZ Boston YouTube channel, if it pops up saying they're going to do a live stream at 10, let me know. Send me a message. I'll get back a little bit earlier. Otherwise, if there's no camera pool feed, the earliest I can show this to you is when the hearing ends by court rule. So expect me either at the top of the hour, or if it doesn't start at 10, I'll watch it. I'll tell you what's going on in the chat, but I got to record it by rule, and then I can upload it. Judge Gildays issued a standing order. That's how it works. So this is not the end of your broadcast day or even the end of today's coverage. It's the end of this segment of coverage for now. I'll update you on further developments in a little bit. I'll do Tippecanoe and Tyler too before I go. Shout out Triple Bob. This is where I list the U.S. presidents at the end of a stream to test my mental acuity. Pete Bunny Towel's still sleeping. I'll get him up for the Karen Reed hearing so he can say hi to his friend Francine. Here we go. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren. Then 9, 10, 11, 12, it's a little hard. There's like William Henry Harrison, and then there's Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So that's going to be Polk, then Taylor, then it's going to be Tyler, then it's going to be, who's that guy? Millard Fillmore is 13, which you wouldn't even think about. He's a weird guy. Moving on, then it's going to be Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. Could you keep up with that? Were you able to do so? Can you tell I want to go for a walk and get my... I will stay hydrated. God bless you, Marcia, and Clumsy Clairvoyance, and... Pleasure Boater, great username. Thank you for being you. God bless all of you. I'll see you again very shortly for a hearing and some analysis in the Karen Reed case. Thank you for supporting Towel News. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being so wonderful. You can find more at youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. You know how to donate if you want to support the channel. Thank you to all of you who sent super chats. Thank you to all of you for your stars and your wonderful contributions. Remember, don't ever feel obligated to donate, but if you do want to support this channel, it's designed to educate, inform, and entertain. I use entertainment as a buffer to insulate your brain from trauma in order to educate and inform you, such as to engender cogent public discourse and ward off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. If you like what you see, donation links from Triple Bob himself are in the chat. PayPal.me/Grant Ellis, Cash App, Grant Smith Ellis, Venmo @Grant-E1. God bless all of you. I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to go for a quick walk, stretch my legs. I'll see you for the hearing. Thank you for supporting Towel News. Thank you for being you. Bunny, Kofi, all of my Towel friends, Cheryl and Amanda, all of you out there. God bless you. Thank you for being you. Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, enjoy your next little bit. Enjoy today. May God protect all of you. May God protect all of us. And may we all know peace sooner rather than later. My name's Grant Svithalis. Thank you for watching this morning's coverage of the U.S.-Iran war on Towel News. Thank you, Penny, for being you. Thank you, Neo Mortal Girl. Thank you, all of you. I will see you again